restoration, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 30% with promo code
I'm running you
at lifelock.com. Terms of
run. This is gonna be one of your lives today.
Looking for the perfect birthday gift without paying full price? SeizeTheDeal.com from Town Square Media is where smart shoppers go for local deals half off. It's perfect for birthdays, Father's Day, and those just because moments when you want to give more without spending more.
Oh, I got to put that on.
Use it when you're ready and feel like a hero every time. Visit SeizeTheDeal.com or grab the Seize the Deal app and start scoring half-off deals all season long.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're here to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
Only thing you don't have is a hugger.
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
I've always drank.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
I have to take a
symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or light illness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
But they made me go to
Congress is making progress on legislation to keep AM radio in every vehicle, but we're not done yet. AM radio delivers emergency alerts, local news, weather, and the trusted voices that keep our communities connected. Tell Congress AM radio still matters. Text AM to 39179. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month.
Still gotta watch my weight. I still gotta.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
I'm about 235. Really, I need to be 235.
Bikers Against Child Abuse, BACA, exists with the intent to create a safer environment for abused children. We exist as a body of bikers to empower children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. We stand ready to lend support to our wounded friends by involving them with an established, united organization. If you'd like to know more about BACA, please visit our website at BACAworld.org or call 1-866-71-ABUSE.
He's been watching his weight.
Bikers Against Child Abuse empowers children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. For more information, visit BACAworld.org. Our helpline is 866-885-9474. BACA. Breaking the chains of abuse.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPL or Town Square Media.
I kind of broke my heart, but it can happen. All right, guys, let's roll. You do not need a headset, sir. Just put the mic up there where you can go. Brian's got the mic control, so if you don't like something, fuss at him, not me.
Mike's hot.
Hello, welcome to the Griffon Show. We're on the road, beautiful Baton Rouge. It's been a few weeks. Brian didn't kick me out. It's a timing thing, but it's great to be back. We're here with Talk 107.3 FM, our good friends at Guarantee Broadcasting. And, of course, we'll be here for all 3 hours. I do need to mention our Tax Pro hotline is the Matthew James Tax Pro hotline. So we got to mention that as well. So I got a great lineup. Bernie's going to sit in with the session at the second hour. I got Nancy Landry coming at 11 to talk about the vote. Because, Brian, it was a great question. I'm going to ask you a question. See if you can answer. Okay. So, you know how you had to, whatever party you registered in the closed primary, you had to vote in?
Right.
You automatically vote in the second time? Correct? If you voted Republican, you got to vote Republican.
That's correct.
Okay. What happened if you didn't vote at all and you're no party? And you didn't vote in the first one. Can you walk in and sign a ticket at that time? Is it a good question?
That is a very good question. There's a couple of good questions that need to pop up because we're doing this. It's kind of an experiment in real time.
No, but I know the answer. But I'm gonna see if Nancy knows.
Okay.
Now, by the way, Nancy knows. I'm joking with Nancy. But what it's funny is I called a couple clerk of courts. Clerks.
Yeah.
Did not know. Had to get back to me on it. Now, they don't know how to tell me on the radio and everybody else knows. Great question.
Because we talked to Nancy a number of times leading up to the election, but
is that a good question for the second round?
Yep, and
then some people don't know we got fall elections too, but I don't want to confuse people. But we're less than a month. All right, Brian. So you brought me something. There was a reason I knew this thing didn't taste as good.
So every time Moon's in studio, we try to make sure he's provided with the proper refreshment. I know Moon likes his Diet Coke, so I brought him a Diet Coke today. However, I think for the for full disclosure, Moon needs to know that Diet Coke, and all Diet Cokes for that matter, they contain CO2, man. So right now, with every sip you take, Moon, you are sequestering carbon.
Oh, my God.
Within your own body. You are a walking carbon sequestration.
This guy I got over here as guest knows me pretty well, and you're messing up our relationship. I just want to let you know that. Ryan Cross with our friends at FMOL Health, and, of course, Ryan Cross. Ryan, good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend.
It's always good to see you, man. It's kind of funny. One of the things when we're doing your commercials, because we do some live stuff, and it's always cool when you're doing commercials with somebody you actually used.
That's right.
Okay? So, and I think I told you this before. I was born at the Lady of the Lake. My whole family pretty much was out of Plaquemine.
Yep.
Okay. So I moved to Monroe, stay there. We used St. Francis Hospital. We were there the whole time. My little girls had seizures. And then I moved to Lafayette.
Our Lady of Lourdes.
Lady of Lourdes. And I've used them all. So when I tell people that, I'm really telling people, hey, I've been around, y'all. This hospital's been around for a long, long time. It's still kicking, brother.
Still kicking. The sisters came over, 6 sisters on a boat over 110, almost 115 years ago. Close enough. There we go.
Hey,
115
I can't hear that dude.
Hold up. Can you turn him up over here? Hold up just a second.
It doesn't sound like his mic is on.
Okay, we got him on, Walk. We good.
We're
go ahead.
on
now.
We
good.
There we
Ryan
go.
Cross, everything I said is okay. Everything you said was horrible.
That's right.
No, talk about what you were saying.
Look, 115 years ago almost now, 6 sisters came over from Calais, France on a boat with a mission to open a healthcare ministry here in Louisiana. And, they were initially looking at going to Alexandria. They ended up opening St. Francis and then coming
So St. Francis was before here?
St. Francis was before
I
Our
thought
Lady
it was
of the Lake.
flip-flop.
No, they went to St. Francis, and then they quickly came down to Our Lady of the Lake here in Baton Rouge and opened up the sanitarium and the nursing school.
You know what? I gotta remember that because same thing with Superior Grill. Everybody think it opened up down here. It opened up in Shreveport. It was not here first.
Which one's better?
They're all the same. By the way, it's a big advertiser like you. Guess why I love them? And I've eaten all of them. I've eaten all of them too, Ron. No, but that's kind of cool because I didn't know it got started up there.
It did.
And that's good. So let me ask you a question. What's going on new? What's happening new with everything with FMOL?
Look, we've been over the last year or so embarking on a journey to reinvest in the communities where we're already serving in Monroe, in Lafayette, Bogalusa, Livingston Parish, Baton Rouge, where we have these facilities. On the backside of the pandemic in 2020, we saw labor costs go up, supply costs went up. It was a really tough time for hospitals. There was some federal aid coming out of the pandemic right there in 2020, 2021, but 2022 and 2023, once those dollars tapered off, costs still stayed really high. It was a financial crisis for a lot of health systems across the country, a lot of hospitals, and it was the 2 worst years that FMOL has ever had financially. We lost almost $150 million.
How do you manage something like that? That's tough just to think about.
Just like any business, you have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and find ways to be leaner and more efficient while still delivering high quality care, because we're not just making pipes at Our Lady of the Lake, we're saving lives. Yeah. And so how do you, without cutting quality, cut cost? And so over the course of those couple of years, our teams from the nurses on the floor all the way up to the administrators did great work trying to find ways to be as efficient as they possibly could. But during that time, we also halted making a lot of capital improvements and investments. And those projects, that new medical office building, that new ER, all of those things had to wait until we got ourselves on solid financial footing, because the last thing we were going to do was sacrifice patient care. Now we found ourselves in a better spot today. We've rebounded. And thanks to a lot of great work from those teams. And so we're beginning to make those investments. Several $100 million of capital being deployed here in Louisiana and the markets where we're existing. And one of them is over at the emergency department in Our Lady of the Lake. And now it's not the facility you were born in. Because when you were born, we were downtown.
I didn't want to make it sound like that. Y'all were differently.
We were downtown. We were
located.
at the lake by the state capitol, and now we're over on Essen Lane, and we're embarking on almost $60 million renovation of that level 1 trauma center. Because if you remember, just a few years ago, it was a children's hospital ER and the main ER together at the main campus there on Essen. We opened the children's hospital in 2019, and so now that ER is long overdue. It's one of the busiest ERs in the country. It is. Wow. It's the busiest ER here in Louisiana, and so how that ER flows, how it works, where the patients come in, where the waiting rooms are. We need to add capacity. We're adding 20 patient rooms. Wow. It's an incredible project. It's gonna be
one of the things y'all had to battle too, that we've all battled, is out-migration for a lot of years. And you're losing people. If you're losing people, you can't get as many people as you need to come to the hospital. So that has been another thing y'all had to do, to attract people to come to continue to build the model that y'all have always put out.
And at Our Lady of the Lake, specifically here in Baton Rouge, it's a destination for care from across the state of Louisiana. Our children's hospital treats patients, kids from all 64 parishes. We treat patients from across Louisiana that are transported to our facility from rural hospitals. If you end up in the hospital in Bunkie and you're having a serious neurological or cardiac or cancer, the odds of you getting transferred to Our Lady of the Lake in Baton Rouge are pretty high. And that's
within Louisiana, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
but Mississippi, they come from Mississippi to seek the high level of care that we've got here at Our Lady of the Lake, because I'd put our doctors up against anybody. But the same can be said for the doctors that we have at St. Francis and Monroe, or Our Lady of Lourdes in Lafayette. Our Lady of Lourdes Women's and Children's in Lafayette, which is an old facility that was built, I think, in the 1980s and had gone. It was under a different owner. We acquired that facility in 2019. They've making historic investments in renovating that building. That's long overdue. If you're from Lafayette, chances are you've been born in the Women's and Children's campus. We just opened up a new mother-baby unit, a new NICU unit out there to improve the patient experience, which is going to hopefully help improve outcomes for those communities that we're able to serve.
Yeah, his name is Ryan Cross, FMOL Health. You hear him advertised here and other places a lot, and they're very involved. So you got a lot of projects. What about the number? One of the things I noticed that y'all probably serve over 2 million people a year. Is that correct? And how many employees y'all got? Now, talk about the business in general, of how many employed and how y'all growing and economically and things of that nature.
Yeah, so the system overall has about 20,000 employees, primarily, overwhelmingly here in Louisiana. We have one market in Jackson, Mississippi, but 20,000 employees. We're in Jackson, Mississippi, Bogalusa, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Monroe, and then obviously here in Baton Rouge with hospitals in Gonzales and Livingston. We're a big system. We serve about half of Louisiana's population every year.
And that's going to be about 2.5 million.
2.5 million folks, but huge economic drivers. I mean, you think about the economic impact of an employer of that size. One of the largest, the Lake in Baton Rouge is the largest employer, is the largest hospital in Louisiana, and it's a top 25 hospital nationwide. Yeah. Most people in Louisiana don't realize that. No. And the economic impact of an engine like that, $2.6 billion per year to the Louisiana economy. Wow. 1 in every 150 jobs in the state of Louisiana is connected somehow to Our Lady of the Lake.
That's a lot.
And we're talking about construction jobs. We're talking about pharmacists, nurses, doctors, our folks who on our environmental services team that clean rooms. I mean, it is a major economic engine.
Y'all also involved. I know some of the universities, maybe some high schools and stuff like that as well. Y'all involved in the sports part of it too. When I mean sports part, I mean the doctrine of the sports part.
Absolutely.
Y'all are big time involved in that as well.
We take care of Baton Rouge Community College. We take care of the Southern Jaguars. We take care of folks up at ULM in Monroe. We take care of the Raging Cajuns in Lafayette.
I knew that.
And of course, we take care of the LSU Tigers.
The Tigers.
And a lot of other local schools here in between with athletic trainers. Our doctors are the best of the best when it comes to orthopedics, sports medicine.
You've got people, doctors and stuff that go to the Fridays and the Saturday games.
Absolutely.
To be part of that, to make sure when they have an injured person, they right there to take
They're
care
on the sidelines. Our partners at Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic here in Baton Rouge are incredible with the work that they do for us. and for these schools and student athletes.
Y'all, and I'm going to ask you a big question. Don't y'all do some rehab stuff? Do y'all work on that too as well, or y'all put them in facilities to help them?
We do. We've got inpatient rehab at Our Lady of the Lake, and then we work with our partners in physical therapy, all the way down to working with sports performance. Our Lady of the Lake, about a year and a half ago, maybe it's been 2 years ago now, partnered with Traction Sports Performance here in Baton Rouge, which is one of the premier providers of sports performance training. They've trained professional athletes from the NBA, the NFL, all the way down to my 8-year-old son.
Oh, but that's kind of cool to be involved in that. That's now you talk about grow your brand. You can help people get back whole. That's growing your brand. All right, let me take a break. His name is Ron Cross. We'll come back and wrap up with Ron. Ask him. I noticed the stadium stuff, a new stadium, or not a new stadium, but a new facility. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know with some people, they freaking. Some people say it's the best thing in the world. Let me get your side of it and hear what you got to say. All right, take a quick break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We'll take a break. Be right back.
I'm John Fleming, and I authorized and paid for this ad.
When money is being hidden, lies are being told. The Accountability Project, a pro-Julia Letlow operation, refuses to disclose its donors. Millions to attack and lie about John Fleming. Who's pulling Letlow's strings? The hidden donors will tell you, but the money and donors are hidden. Hidden money financing big lies. Fact, John Fleming was Deputy Chief of Staff for President Trump, serving several feet away from the Oval Office. Fact, Fleming never lobbied for a foreign country or Big Pharma. He represented Bossier Parish to help Barksdale Air Force Base. Fact, Letlow supports quotas, preferences of DEI. Fleming opposes it. Fact, Letlow graded F, failure on border security. Fleming an A. Fact, Fleming opposes carbon sequestration. Letlow voted for it. And Letlow's fiancé is a big-time carbon sequestration lobbyist. And that's billions for some global companies and investors.
Hiding money, hiding donors, so they can hide Letlow's record. Now, who's the fraud in this election?
At FMOL Health, we're leaning into our Franciscan missionaries of Our Lady heritage. A connected team, standing not in the spotlight, but in the quiet moments, the hardest times. We teach, heal, pray, and laugh. We do all things with great love. Across our system, we share one belief. Providing the best care possible isn't a job. It's our calling. FMOL Health. This is how we help care.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. It's termite season. Did you know termites are responsible for over $1 billion worth of damage in Louisiana alone? For over 60 years, J&J Exterminating has been shielding homes and businesses. 100% guaranteed against termites, pests, and mosquitoes. Louisiana-owned, customer-focused. J&J Exterminating.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating.
Get the shield.
Yeah.
Are you looking to make a lasting impression? At Touche Printing, your brand comes to life with high-quality printing, custom designs, and fast, reliable service. From business cards and brochures to banners, signs, and more, Touche Printing delivers professional results that help your business stand out. With decades of experience right here in Lafayette, they combine creativity, precision, and personal service to bring your vision to reality. Visit TouchePrinting.com today and see how easy it is to elevate your brand. Touche Printing, where quality meets creativity.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
I'm John Fleming, and I authorized and paid for this ad.
When money is being hidden, lies are being told. The Accountability Project, a pro-Julia Letlow operation, refuses to disclose its donors. Millions to attack and lie about John Fleming. Who's pulling Letlow's strings? The hidden donors will tell you, but the money and donors are hidden. Hidden money financing big lies. Fact, John Fleming was Deputy Chief of Staff for President Trump, serving several feet away from the Oval Office. Fact, Fleming never lobbied for a foreign country or Big Pharma. He represented Bossier Parish to help Barksdale Air Force Base. Fact, Letlow supports quotas, preferences of DEI. Fleming opposes it. Fact, Letlow graded F, failure on border security. Fleming and A. Fact, Fleming opposes carbon sequestration. Letlow voted for it. And Letlow's fiancée is a big-time carbon sequestration lobbyist. And that's billions for some global companies and investors.
Hiding money, hiding donors so they can hide Letlow's record. Now, who's the fraud in this election?
Where the truth hits hard and the volume stays up. This is the Moon Griffon Show.
Mike's hot.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. We're all on the road in Baton Rouge with our friends at Guaranteed Broadcasting Talk 107.3 FM. Our friends at Guarantee. All right, Matthew James Tax Pro Hotline. Ron Cross, my special guest, FMOL Health. Hey, real quick, move on. Been talking about arena here for a while. I know y'all would be part of it.
Yeah.
Naming rights and things of that nature. So y'all all for it. Y'all trying to. Is this? I don't know where it's at right now. Me and you hadn't talked in 6 months or whatever about it, 8 months. So where are we with the project in itself right now?
Look, the new arena at LSU, the Our Lady Lake Health Arena, is going to be the most transformational economic development project here in the Baton Rouge region in quite some time. What it's going to do for our quality of life, what it's going to do to the local hotels, restaurants, bars, the economy, it's going to be incredible. When we talked, I guess it was last summer.
Yeah, it was.
We were headed into hiring a new LSU president. And I guess it was
we hired everything
late August. We brought in President Wade Roos, who has just been incredible for Louisiana State University system. I mean, if you spend any time around him, if you haven't had him on your show, you should.
Somebody's working on that now. I told him I'd be more than glad to come on.
He's incredible, and just the fire in his belly to make LSU what it can and should be for the state of Louisiana is second to none. But he came in late August, I think, September, and had to step back and start understanding not just the LSU arena deal, but everything else that was going on across the system.
He came in this year. If I'm right, he came in this year. You can time from where you had
Q4 last year, Brian.
It don't matter. It don't matter. I get what your point. He had to come in and understand everything.
It was during last football season. Around the same time because Coach Griffon came in November, and then Will Wade obviously came in this year.
It was November of last year.
Okay. God, boy, I tell you what, it was almost at the end of the year. That's why I said the first year. Time just blink, man.
So he came in. Holidays hit. He's trying to get his feet wet with the rest of the job. And so everything kind of slowed down on the arena front to give the university and the new university leadership team time to understand what is a very complex economic development deal that had been in the works for many years leading up to it obviously becoming public last year.
Sure.
And so we're making really good progress. We're excited. Hopefully, it'll be going to the Board of Supervisors here in the next couple of months.
But you still have to get a few more votes before they start breaking ground.
We got to get an official vote from the Board of Supervisors, and then we'll move forward toward breaking ground. Hopefully by the end of this year, early next year, and then it'll be just a few years from there. We'll be celebrating watching Coach Wade cheer the Tigers on to victory.
What does it take? About 2 years to build?
It'll probably be closer to 3 to 4.
Something me and you covered off the air real quick. I don't know if I have enough time to get to Medicaid, but I want to talk a little bit about emergency rooms because it's something that the United States decided a long time ago. If somebody comes in, you're going to take care of them. But that don't mean you necessarily get the money to pay for them. And that with hospitals, not just yours, but other hospitals, that's always been a problem because you always go, we welcome, we take them, take care of them whether they have money or not. And I understand that process in the United States, and I'm for it. Mm-hmm. But it's also a money surprise that you got to be able to balance all that stuff.
100%. Look, healthcare is one of the only industries in America where you don't get paid on the front end whenever you provide the service. And we often we have to provide services to folks who may or may not actually be able to pay for those services. And we don't get to set our prices. We don't get to go back to Blue Cross Blue Shield throughout the year and say, hey, I'm sorry, but 6 months ago, our costs were 20% lower than they are today. We've got to raise the price of a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk. Well, our prices are set for the year, and it's very difficult to go. It is what it is. And so, when we look at how we make all the pieces and parts work, Medicare has historically been an underpaying payer from the federal government. So when a Medicare patient comes in, last year we lost over $300 million as a health system on treating Medicare patients. That's how underpaid Medicare is. And then we want to talk about cutting Medicaid and making it harder for us to take care of those Medicaid patients. all that does is put more on the backs of the commercial patients, or it leads to your local community hospital having to close its doors.
I think it goes back on your local people like me, because my insurance premium goes at a high. All I'm gonna do is wake up and go pay my insurance every day, and I'm good to go. It's got to be tough all the way around, is what I'm saying.
It's difficult, and it's really difficult when you're sitting in our shoes and you see a lot of these companies, whether it's health insurance companies, PBMs, pharmaceutical manufacturers, are in the Forbes top 100 list, recording record profits for shareholders, and hardworking folks like you are struggling to pay the premiums.
Yeah, I just noticed an answer out there. I think it's a shame in a country that's done so well that we can't get that part of it right. And when I would say right, man, if I don't have. People need to understand, everybody has to contribute and pay something, okay?
Right.
You can't just walk around and say, I want a freebie. And I just think everybody ought to have to contribute to their health care. Look, I know how much I'm paying. I'm not exaggerating by a penny. $33,703.73. That's a lot of money. I just think it needs to be spread out what people are paying as well.
Right.
What's the best way to find out about y'all? Got a website?
Go to our website, fmolhs.org, fmolhs.org. One of our local hospitals. We're here to take care of you, and we got the best of the best, and we're here to serve.
His name is Ron Cross, folks. Ron, always a pleasure, man.
Pleasure.
Always good to see you.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to get your assistant over here to help get on the radio one time. Next time she comes, can she sing the national anthem? That'd be a good idea. All right, we got to go. We'll be right back.
Here's President Trump with a critical message for Louisiana voters.
I'm thrilled to give my complete and total endorsement to your next United States Senator from Louisiana, Julia Letlow. Julia is really a champion for the people of Louisiana in Congress, helping us stop the invasion of our southern border. Julia was absolutely essential in helping us deliver the largest tax cuts in American history, which are putting more money in the pockets of every single American. And remember that she's also responsible for no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. In the Senate, Julia will continue fighting to cut taxes and protect your Second Amendment like nobody else. So everybody go out and vote and send Julia Letlow to the United States Senate. She's incredible. She's a true American first patriot.
I'm Julia Letlow, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Julia Letlow for Louisiana.
Hey, folks, looking to buy or sell land? Wildlife Land Group and its partners proudly serve Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Colorado. Our accredited land consultants specialize in timberland, cattle ranches, hunting and recreational property, transitional and development tracts, and farmland too. Rice and crawfish, row crops, you name it. From individual landowners to publicly traded companies, Wildlife Land Group is hands-on through the entire process. Love the opportunity to serve you. Call Wildlife Land Group today at 337-345-1797. That's 337-345-1797. J. Davison Broker.
Louisiana's oil and gas industry creates thousands of good-paying jobs, but a flood of coastal lawsuits threatens it all. While billboard lawyers reach for massive payouts, Louisiana workers pay the price. The facts: energy employment down 40%, offshore energy production cut in half, over $1 billion gone. Greedy lawyers chasing lottery payouts at the expense of Louisiana families. We don't need more lawsuits. We need more jobs. Learn more at growlouisianacoalition.com.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Bryson Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Bryson Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm. LSBA filing number LA2518447.
Progressive's Home Quote Explorer helps you easily find and buy the right coverage for you. It's everything you've always wanted. Well, I mean, as far as a website that lets you shop, quote, and buy insurance in one place. But hey, maybe that is everything you've always wanted. You know? Yeah, people have different types of dreams. And if all you've ever been searching for is a website that helps you choose home insurance rates and coverage, boy, do we have great news about Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Telling my girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard.
But Mom's early detection gave us time to make a plan.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
If nothing else, he's the loudest voice in Louisiana. This is the Moon Griffon Show.
Mike's hot.
Hi, hello, welcome back. It is the Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you back with us in conjunction with our good friends at Guarantee Broadcast and Talk 107.3 FM. All right, Mr. Matthew James, Tax Pro Hotline. Bernie Pinson had to come talk about the session at 10 o'clock. Nancy Landry in at 11. There's some changes on election stuff. And Brian, that's why I threw the question out about the can you vote? Because when you call clerks of court and they say, I don't know, I need to check on that, and they don't know,
right?
I'm going, whoa. And by the way, it was a trick question, but it really wasn't a trick question. I wanted to know somebody that didn't vote the first. I'm talking about no party, Brian, just no party.
So
it's really not a Republican.
This is why there's so many problems with the no party part of this, though, is because like if you're no party, like let's say the congressional races had still been on the ballot.
Sure.
If you were no party and you wanted to vote Democrat in a congressional race, but Republican in the Senate race, what happens there?
No, it'd been easy. You had to pick one or the other.
Right. But you're no party, so each race would have had something different. So it's
listen. If they had did it right, it'd have been Republican, Democrat. Period. End of conversation. We wouldn't even be talking about this.
Yeah.
All right. So had the president of Louisiana Republican Assembly, co-founder of Louisiana Citizens for Election Integrity, Miss Christy Hike joins us. Christy, how you doing?
Good morning,
I seem to run into you all the time at some events.
We see each other everywhere, and it's nice for me to see you at those things.
Well, I tell you what, you don't see me at many. People go all the time, I can't believe you showed up at something. I say, well, I stick my head in there every now and then.
Ironically, we're at the same things because I don't show up that much either, to be quite honest.
You know, when I go home, I have my bride and I have a special need daughter, and so we kind of running with our own little deal. So anyway, great to see. So tell me what's going on. I mean, tell me what your position is. What is the position that you have? What do you do? Is it state of Louisiana, just local?
That's right. No, it is the state. I'm the president, as you said, of the Louisiana Republican Assembly. I am also elected. I am a committee woman on the Republican State Central Committee, as well as a committee woman on the Republican Parish Executive Committee of East Baton Rouge.
That sounds like a lot of titles.
Well, I
do all of them do something different?
They all are fighting for our freedoms, actually. These are titles that are supposed to be used to help us maintain our freedoms. And so I've tried to do that to the best of my abilities, but it seems like those who are fighting for our freedom, our grassroots conservatives, are being thwarted at every angle, every turn.
Yeah, so when you say you do this, do you go around and speak? Do you go around and group? Do you have a committee? Do you have a board?
Absolutely.
How's that work?
So for Louisiana Republican Assembly, we grounded about a year and a half ago, and we are the Republican Party, but we're the way that the Republican Party used to look, the Ronald Reagan, Frederick Douglass Republican Party. We're grassroots, boots on the ground. We have mission statements that we go out and door knock. We door knocked for Donald Trump and Elbert Guillory, and that was our first thing that we did as an organization. We have 5 chapters across the state, and we're growing. And we are trying to bring the Republican Party back to its original conservative roots.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the Guillory race, which is basically the Cleo Fields race.
That's right.
And my disappointment with that was that I felt like the congressmen and United States senators and the Speaker of the House, and I'm good friends with Mike Johnson. He knows I'll say things. I just felt like they should have got in that race a little bit.
Well,
I don't know if Elbert was going to ever win it. He wasn't going to win it out front, but he keeps Cleo under 50%, which makes it really interesting going into the runoff.
Well,
and that would have been real interesting.
That's quite true. And interestingly enough, in Republican-dominant districts, Donald Trump won, and Elbert Guillory got 1 or 0 votes, which is implausible. And I know this because
that's almost impossible. Mathematically impossible.
One would think, but we have actually run the numbers. We've been working with forensic data auditors and national cybersecurity analysts for the last 6 years, and we know so much. We know more than I ever wanted to know about our elections in the United States and specifically here in Louisiana, because we put some of those guys on retainer to do the deep dive into our elections. And so I could talk to you about elections all day long, and it would make your head spin about what we found out in Louisiana. Huh. We do not have free and fair elections in this state.
You really don't think so?
We do not, and we have evidence of it. And the evidence is being suppressed, and our Secretary of State is going around on a tour that everything's fine here, when in actuality, Donald Trump has made it clear that he wants hand-marked secure paper ballots in every state, no machines. He's got EOs that he's issued, executive orders, to that end. And she has said that the administration told her that they want her to go ahead with the purchase of new voting machines, which you have to understand is that we're the only state currently in the nation in need of a new voting system. And so Nancy Landry has said, we want new machines. She even cited a poll that she couldn't produce, whereby 90% of the citizens of Louisiana want voting machines. Yet when asked about that, she can't produce the poll.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I've had a long conversation, not with Nancy. I've had conversation with the clerk of courts, and they will tell you they have to have machines, number one. Number two is they offer having a ballot to follow and be able to monitor. But they say that if you expect all these people to go in there and count them and do that kind of stuff, I know you mentioned Nancy, but the point being is the clerk of courts, and I've sat down and talked to them, and they tell me you have to. Where you go get the people? Where you go get the manpower from? When you can't hardly get anybody to go work them now.
I can answer all those questions, but what people don't understand, they need to understand before you even talk about that, is when Obama and Biden were in office, right? President, vice president. They declared elections critical infrastructure. And on the face of it, that's a good thing, because shouldn't our elections be as secure as our nuclear power plants? Absolutely. But what that allowed the federal government to do is to come in and control the state's elections. It should never be in the hands of the federal government. The states are supposed to control their own elections.
Controlling our elections?
Well, they train everyone from our secretaries of state to our clerks of court to our registrars of voters. And so when you go across the country and you hear the exact same verbiage parroted again and again, trust the process, trust the system, you don't ask questions because you're supposed to trust the process. What if you don't? Because here in Louisiana, when you cast your vote on a voting machine, how do you know that your vote counted for who you wanted it to count for, or that it counted at all? How do you know that? Do you get proof that you cast a vote?
Let me ask you a question. So for me to follow you on all this, I'd have to believe that our elections are so tainted, and there'll be elections flipping for people left and right, and I don't see that at all. Listen. Well, how's that not true?
Well, I'll tell you.
When Jeff Landry won, Jeff Landry won.
I'll tell you.
When John Kennedy won, he won big, and everybody knew he was going to win.
That's
big.
right.
When Bill Cassidy got beat, I knew Bill Cassidy was going to get beat. I've been saying for 5 years or whatever, 6 years he's going to get beat, and it happened. I said he'd be under 25%. He was. I don't have a magical wand.
Right.
How do I know that? Because I've been watching people and listening to what people have to say. I don't have to have a poll. I don't have to have anything. So I'm not questioning what you're saying.
Well, you should question
but
it.
I am asking, how can you make a comment how bad our elections are when basically I'm looking around elections, and even the Cleo Fields victory shouldn't have surprised anybody in that district. And that was more of a Republicans not getting out, putting money and busting their butts to try to beat Cleo Fields.
So
that had a lot more to do with it than what you're saying.
So we have actually, as I said, done the work. We canvassed in several parishes across the state about 3 or 4 years ago. What we found would raise the hair on your back of your neck. We, in Ascension Parish specifically, found empty lots that had 7 or 8 registered voters who voted in the 2020 election. We found a UPS storefront that had about 15 registered voters that voted. 7 of them voted.
By the way, Christy.
Yes.
All that's wrong. Be the first to tell you. None of that would change many of the elections.
I,
now, let me back up. You're right. None of that needs to happen. I'm 100% with you. But that is not going to change elections 8 and 15 unless it's a real close election.
But we're talking about the fraud. And so I'm telling you
I
about
agree
the
with
fraud.
you. And I think they ought to bust the chops to any fraud like that. I'm 100% with you on that.
And all of this leads up to a logical conclusion. And we don't have enough time for me to tell you all of these things that we've learned doing the real work. So there was a group of people in Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, who post-Secretary of State election came to my group and brought us signed affidavits saying that they voted for Brandon Trosclair in the Secretary of State election. Okay. Well, that was 7 people. Only 5 votes for Brandon Trosclair were cast or given in that particular precinct. Our former Secretary of State and our current Secretary of State both say that we're a top-down state. That means that if anything's happening in one parish or precinct, it's happening in them all. So if 2 votes were not counted in a certain precinct, wouldn't that stand to reason that that several votes are not counting in other precincts as well? They shave off percentages. Mm-hmm. It's a long, slow cheat. And when these deeply red conservative states flip to blue, eventually they turn purple and then they turn blue. Everybody says, well, we saw it coming because our Republican candidates won, but they were losing percentages over the years. No, they were being stolen.
Yeah, I look at the way we do things, and when you talk about mail-in ballots, universal mail-in ballots, it's the worst thing you could do. I mean, they did
we don't have that problem.
2003. No, because we count our ballots. They got to be in 4:30 the day before. They count it first. And so there's no more, hey, we found some ballots. I think that part of the system is awesome. And I don't like any mail-in ballots, but I understand why we do some. Let me take a break. Hold your thought.
Okay.
All right, got to take a break. Christy Hake, my special guest, will take a break, come back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show.
So
I get the part about. Have you recently cut a large check to Uncle Sam? How did that feel? If you're looking for a way to reduce your tax bills next year, especially if you're paying $100,000, $500,000, even more annually, listen closely. There are strategies used by the top 1% that can significantly reduce your tax burden. There are the same little-known provisions in the tax code that ultra-wealthy individuals and even members of Congress use. At Matthew James Tax Pros in Lafayette, they specialize in helping high-income earners like business owners, physicians, attorneys, contractors, and those in the oil and gas industry keep more of what they earn. If you're tired of writing 6- or 7-figure checks to the IRS, they'll show you strategies that could cut your taxes, sometimes by half or even more. Call us today at 337-895-0TAX. That's 337-895-0829 or visit MatthewJamesTaxPros.com. Take control of your taxes. Start today to make next April a lot less painful. Every tax situation is unique and tax savings may vary.
It's Truck Month at Service Chevrolet Cadillac, and that means supplier pricing for everyone, like $11,000 off the MSRP on a new 2026 Silverado 1500 LT, or pay just $39,990 for a new 2026 Traverse LT, or lease a new 2026 Trailblazer LS for just $399 a month for 36 months. Plus, when you buy a new Chevy from Service Chevrolet Cadillac, it comes with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Hurry to Acadiana's #1 Chevrolet dealership. Our family serving your family. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, your Super Chevy dealer. 1212 Ambassador Caffrey near I-10. Stop by or log on at servicegm.com. Chevy, together let's drive. Silverado dealer discount $72.50. GM rebate $37.50. Excludes work truck package. Must finance through GMF. Traverse dealer discount $47.49. MSRP $44,739. In stock units. Trailblazer 36-month lease, 10,000 miles per year. 1,000 down plus first payment. Finance through GMF with approved credit. A plus A1 tier. Stock number T260697 plus tax, title, license, and fees. See dealer for details. Offers expire on 3/31/26. Claims based on current GM data.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text SPARK to 215215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text SPARK to 215215. That's SPARK to 215215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Making sense and making noise, though not always in that order. This is the Moon Griffon Show.
You got 9.
Time to give you the day.
You have 9. Mike's hot.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. It is the Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. It is the Matthew James Tax Pro Hotline. Christy Hack, I'm going to get it right. She's my special guest. All right, let's jump gears. So me and you could, like I said, we can go back and forth on that. And by the way, when you leave and say, well, Moon disagree with everything, I don't disagree with everything. I'm asking questions. It's kind of a devil's advocate.
Absolutely should be. Don't just trust what I say.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You ain't my wife, Christy, so I can't trust everything what you know. And I'm going to ask questions. That's just me.
Sure.
Last day of session yesterday. I don't really know everything the session even accomplished, but apparently you saw some things you either like or didn't like.
Well, there was one thing in particular. There were several things I didn't like, but one thing in particular, and there were some good things. But yesterday, specifically, HB 906. Now, let me backtrack for a minute and explain why this was important. So on November 25th, 2025, last year, I brought a resolution to the RSCC. Now, for people who don't know what the RSCC is, it's the Republican State Central Committee. It's the governing body of the LAGOP.
Before you say anything, I bet this bill never made it out to the Senate.
That's correct.
I talked about this bill a bunch. That's why I'm asking. But go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead and tell us what it is.
So the resolution that I brought on November 25th, 2025 for totally closed primaries passed unanimously. Not one nay vote, which means that is the will of the Republican Party.
I agree.
Right? Okay. In the language of that resolution, there was allowing for a lawsuit if the Secretary of State did not implement the will of the party. Now, she didn't. And she said that she couldn't because it was against the law. But in the extraordinary legislative session of 2024, it was clearly stated that she is to implement the will of the party. So back to HB 906. That is a bill by Beth Billings that was an amendment was put on to that said that the Democratic State Central Committee, the Republican State Central Committee, both committees should be allowed to determine if they want closed primaries. I mean, why not?
I
If
have-
you
I have
want
no
to
problem with
join
that.
that organization, you can join and you can have a voice, okay? But if you're not in that organization,
Let me ask you a
okay.
quick question. So when if I know this passed the House, I knew it was going to get killed in the
did,
Senate,
right.
but basically it would allow the Republican Party or Democrat to say only Republican.
Correct.
And I agree with that.
Good. I'm
And
glad.
when it passed out the House, I was told that the Senate president was going to kill it. One of the reasons they killed this bill, and I'm going to go back to Senator John
Yeah.
Kennedy, because originally he's the one that didn't want us,
right.
no party people, not to
right.
have a voice. Well,
right.
for me, I was going back to the Republican Party. I
Right.
was going to vote in the Cassidy election, I'm going to call it, but I was going to go back to the Republican Party. I was just going to read the Republicans. I wasn't going to say a word, go vote, never say another word. But I heard John was in here last week.
That's right.
And he was fighting against this again.
That's right.
But the House passed it, but the Senate under Henry
it sat
killed
on the
it.
Senate floor, and I have it on good authority that Cameron was told by John Kennedy to not bring it. Even
No,
though,
listen,
yeah,
I'm not fussing
yeah,
at Kennedy. I'm
yeah.
telling you who
Right.
killed this bill
That's
with John
right.
Kennedy.
So this situation, why it's so important that we do have totally closed primaries is because people look at the rhinos that we have serving in our legislature, and there are a lot of them, and they say, well, how did they get elected? Well, you have to remember that is a tactic Democrats use. They become Republicans in a deeply red state in order to be elected. A lot, not all, okay? And we have a situation with rhinos, but have you heard of minos? That's a new thing.
I mean, Brian may know a motto. I don't know what a motto.
Dr. Randy Russ coined that term. A mino is MAGA in name only.
No, God have mercy.
So we have a bunch of those too. And so when
I like closed primaries if it's done right.
Right, correct. I agree.
And it was not done right.
That's right. So when we have jungle primaries, the Democrats are voting the Republicans in. So it's no question as to why these people are getting elected in open primaries.
Brian mentioned this earlier in the program. I don't know if you were here or not about it was something along. What did you tell me along that lines of right when we started the program with Christie? Oh God have mercy.
Well, you talking about if you had the congressional primary on one and the Senate on the other,
you got all that
and you've got a
switching.
no-party voter, which way
you
are
hit
they-
it on the head,
right?
So you got complications on
That's
something
right.
that should have been complicated. You've been saying that since day one. I don't think you're a big closed primary guy, but you've been saying from day one you can't have all this. We've made it so bad. It makes it look bad.
Okay, so what happened? Does that
make sense?
That's absolutely the case. But what happened specifically because of that is we had a situation in Jefferson Parish whereby the mayor, who was the mayoral race, a Democrat, lost her mayoral race by about 20 votes. And a guy who was running, I think he was running for city council, he lost his race by about 6 votes. Now, we are also not only the only state in need of a new voting system, we're the only state in the nation that cannot audit our elections. Because the only thing that we have to audit are mail-in ballots, and as we know, that accounts for 4% of all of our votes. That's the absentee and the
but
military.
let me ask you a question, because we're going back to machines and all that. If we get a machine that has a paper trail that you can go back and count, you don't like that either?
Not as long as the machine is involved, because you
Okay,
don't
so
know.
in other words, you want straight out, you mark a ballot,
That's right. Hand mark
hand
secure.
mark, and hand it in. And people got to
Counted
hand
at the
count it.
precinct level with results delivered election night, and we have the process to do this. All of Europe does this. Are we not as smart as our European counterparts? They do it with no problems. But the talking points of the elections workers, I've even heard them say my fingers will bleed if I have to count all those ballots. But talking about the system is what we propose is a whole other thing. It's what Donald Trump proposes. Anyway, what happened was the people who lost their elections in Kenner there's another lawsuit. You've heard the name Calais. Bert Calais is part of our group. Bert Calais has a separate lawsuit because Article 11, Section 2 of our Louisiana Constitution states, ballots, this is a quote, shall be counted publicly. What ballots? So this next lawsuit that he has is that our elections in Louisiana are unconstitutional. So these people who lost their races in Kenner they called me, and they got my number from a friend of mine who knows what I do. They called me and I said, come to tomorrow, actually, it was ironic,
sure.
and see if you can be plaintiffs on Bert's lawsuit. They came, and it was not the correct jurisdiction. They were told that they had to go back and be in their own jurisdiction. So they had 12 hours to do this. They did it, and their case was tossed out of court, even with witnesses who got turned away. This is because there was so much confusion on Election Day, right?
Mhm.
They got turned away for various reasons. They couldn't vote. A girl was 20 years old at first time voting. She felt completely disenfranchised, that her most basic civil right was ignored. She was not allowed to vote. She was a witness. The judge still said, you don't have enough specific information. So on that note, we are sending out requests across the state to have poll watchers volunteer to go to different precincts in the state and watch, because the specificity that we need to contest elections is, okay, you were turned away at 11:03 on, this day by this person for this reason. And then if you have all of those affidavits, you can have a court case. But right now, as it stands, there is no standing, even for people who seem like they have standing.
There's definitely need to be a trail away to audit elections.
That's right.
Me and you on a
That's
100%.
right. That's right.
Talking to some of the clerks, they're just concerned about having the manpower. And by the way, that's not an excuse. That's just a fact.
Well, let me just
they don't
say,
have much manpower.
If people believed in free and fair elections, that we had them, they would show up. So many people don't even vote because they don't believe that we have free and fair elections. Rightly so. But we've gone all over the state, and hundreds of people, thousands of people have said, I would volunteer for no pay if we had hand-marked secure paper ballots.
They may say that. I don't know if they'll do it. All right. You got a website real quick? I got to go.
LRASSEMBLY, LRassembly.com.
Christy, thanks. We'll do it again.
Thank you, Moon.
We'll do it again. We can
Appreciate
focus
you.
more on that. All right, we got to go. We'll take a break. Bernie Pinson, when we get back, don't go nowhere. Yeah.
Chasson Brothers on Pinhook next to the railroad track, serving Acadiana since 1933. Has a complete line of products from Fertilome. Fertilome, local solutions for local problems with over a half-century of total solutions. Chasson Brothers carries Fertilome All-Purpose, water-soluble plant food, organic Canadian sphagnum peat moss, horticultural vermiculite, Fertilome Orchid, as well as Pearlite tree and shrub food, Start and Grow plant food, azalea and evergreen food, along with Fertilome Ultimate. Now's the time to plant that summer garden. And Chasson Brothers, along with Fertilome, can make that process a success, taking care of not only plant health, but even diseases, insects, and fungus. Gardening is sometimes tough, but it's rewarding. And Chasson Brothers is right there in the dirt with you to make sure that whatever your gardening needs, you're taken care of. Chasson Brothers on Pinhook in Lafayette, right next to the railroad tracks. Online at chassonbrothers.com. Chasson Brothers, where Acadiana gardeners shop.
You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station.
Iran can't hide behind a shield. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Secretary of State Marco Rubio just told senators that at a hearing, and that this is why the U.S. and Israel went on the attack. Iran's plans to secure a nuclear program if they built weapons.
They were going to build for themselves so many missiles, so many drones, so many conventional weapons, including a navy, that at that point, there's nothing you could do about it.
Now Rubio says Iran's ready to negotiate and make a deal with a blockade around its port still in place.
There is the prospect before us, which could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week.
Complicating that, another day of Israeli attacks on Hezbollah militants in Lebanon that's reportedly killed 8 civilians, while Hezbollah launched more rockets and drones into Israel. And Fox's Jeff Paul reports from Dubai.
Iran has yet to respond to the latest proposal that was sent to Tehran by the U.S. And given what's happening in Lebanon, negotiators in Iran don't appear to be in a huge hurry. In fact, Tehran has said if the strikes in Lebanon don't stop, there is a high probability of the current U.S.-Iran ceasefire ending.
Back to that Senate hearing, Democrat Jean Shaheen's critical.
Why does the Strait of Hormuz remain closed? Why is gas up $1.50?
Why did 13 American service members lose their lives in this war?
She's also demanding answers on the U.S. handling of Ukraine, hours after another Russian drone and missile bombardment killing at least 18 civilians.
Congress passed support for Ukraine. The administration has slow-walked it.
There's a new acting director of national intelligence. Bill Pulte takes over while continuing to do his other jobs, leading Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and directing the Federal Housing Finance Agency.
President Trump says Pulte has deep experience in managing the most sensitive matters in America and managing $10 trillion at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Pulte replaces Tulsi Gabbard, who announced her resignation last month following her husband's rare cancer diagnosis.
Fox's Jared Halpern. It's primary day in 6 states, the closest watch races in California as Republican candidates try to make runoffs for governor and for mayor in Los Angeles. America's listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is their highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
LA 22-13416. Offices in Alexandria, Lafayette, and Marksville. Results may vary.
Car accidents aren't the only kind of accidents you can file a claim for. I'm Brian Kubero. In my lifetime, I've helped thousands of accident victims. Car, truck, maritime, at work, and more. And while no two accidents are ever alike, one thing is true of all of them. It always pays to do it right. Call me, Brian Kubero, at 337-HELP-NOW or visit doitright.com.
This is Moon Griffon. If you pay over $500,000 in taxes, you're probably overpaying your taxes by 6 figures. 6 figures. It's like a reoccurring loss every year. Your opportunity to stop overpaying taxes is hidden because it requires specialized knowledge to implement. High net worth earners and business owners have tax profiles that offer real opportunities to reduce taxes and pay less, a lot less. Matthew James partners with your CPA to implement the elite tax strategies used by the ultra wealthy. These are proven strategies written in a tax code that most people don't even know exists. Visit MatthewJames.com or call 337-366-8366. That's 337-366-8366. MatthewJames.com. This is Moon Griffon reminding you every year you delay could have a permanent price.
Every tax situation is unique and tax savings may vary.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Every day at 5 p.m. right here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. It is local, state, and national news, the analysis and commentary you're not going to get anywhere else. All of that from a local perspective on the Joe Cunningham Show every day at 5 p.m.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent you.
Mike's hot.
Welcome back. Hey, y'all. Welcome back. It is the Moon Griffon Show, 844-766-6607. It is the Matthew James Tax Pro Hotline. A little late in the program, I do have Nancy Landry. I don't know if we're going to be talking about what I talked to with Christy, but I do want to talk about the elections. And there's some questions I asked that I think she can answer, because I don't think people know we got fall elections, too.
Yeah.
I really don't. I had one guy. By the way, that's Bernie Pinson. Bernie's getting ready to join me. Good morning, Bernie.
Good morning.
And I was going to say, I had a guy that I know real well that gives money to candidates. And, just a wealthy guy. And this was, Bernie, it's the week before. No, it was the day of early voting started. He called me, said, look, I'm getting ready to give money to a candidate, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yep. And then, see what happens. If you need some more money, I can give him some for the fall. And he kept saying, I said, the fall? I said, he said, yeah, when we vote in the fall. I said, dude, they're early voting today. He said, what? Proving my point that everybody doesn't watch all this stuff. They just don't. I don't care how much money you got, how much money you don't have, how educated you are.
Right.
A lot of people don't watch this, Bernie. So I had to explain that it was early voting was right now, and the day of the election was May 16th, and runoff. And then he got in gear and found out I was telling him the truth. So all that stuff's just important for people to remember.
Right.
So session's over, Bernie. I think you agree with me. The session was pretty much ho-hum for the most. I mean, they always got some news, but so
I think I predicted on your program that the governor and the powers that be felt like they had accomplished a lot. He had
first couple of years.
Yeah, he's had so much success on economic development. I mean, this state is in for a trend. If all that money turns into really fruition and jobs, Louisiana could be an incredibly different place with sophisticated, sophisticated industries being in here. You're looking at the space, the new space station, spaceport being put right over there in the Kaplan area, or
somewhere down in that area.
In that area, the amount of investment, and that thing will employ people on a daily basis a lot. That thing is huge. All of these plants. So the governor's coming into the session, and the only area that he's had any real problems with, as far as the voters unhappy with, was insurance. So
insurance and Cleo Fields, I told him that was the two things that people were really upset about.
Yeah, and the insurance, I got a nice reduction on my homeowners. I haven't seen anything yet on automobile. That's what people are looking for. So the insurance companies, I think the insurance companies did respond, trying to help. So if everybody's like me, I was pleased that I got that. Anything you can get to reduce your insurance.
That ain't a bad day. That's a great month.
It's a godsend. And so with that in mind, he just put it on autopilot and said, okay, this is our session, and areas that were off limits to interfere with his election or raise hot topics that he wasn't interested in, pretty much were thrown by the side, and we the session was basically put on autopilot, and he got what he wanted, and I don't hear anybody out there that's unhappy about anything. So he continues to cruise towards being where he wants to be politically. The success he's having in economic development is obviously a big deal for him, and he can take a lot of credit for that. And so, as you and I have discussed publicly and privately, Jeff's headed towards an easy re-election with a lot of money and a lot of support.
And I don't, at this point, I don't see anybody even challenging the governor.
No.
I mean, everybody keeps saying, "Oh, you wait." And I'm going, "Okay, show me your $5-10 million just to get started."
Yeah.
And I said, and plus, I tell people all the time, when you run against Landry, it's like running against somebody else. It's not going to be pretty.
No,
and you have to go through tough times to beat.
I just heard another ad in the Senate race, and Louisiana. I mean, the ads in Louisiana in the last 6 months I mean, I've never seen them stoop so low and so vicious.
They do not care what they say.
No, they don't care what they say. Lie, destroy someone's credit. If their family members committed suicide, they would probably attack them for being alive. Why were you here? So
tell you what, you might not have shot the Pope, but by the time the ad's over, you look like you shot the Pope.
So we have that still to go. We've got the elections this fall, which will send another Republican to help the Louisiana
Congressional
delegation.
side, yeah.
And so there's not a lot to be unhappy about.
Bernie, what I'm hearing is everybody's weighing their, they just weighing everything right now, but they got people out there that may want to sue the congressional district again, but I would think that's probably normal, huh? When you draw a congressional district, there's always going to be suits, but the courts are sitting there, and they're going to look at this district. And they probably, my gut feeling is saying, no, we're going with this. If y'all want to fight about it after that, you can, but we got to have a district. In other words, they can't jack with this. And I think Nancy yesterday, and I'm going to ask Nancy, Nancy's going to be in a little while, ask her what's the last date that we can possibly find out so we can have these elections. And because there's some timing involved in this. So I would think the courts, just my opinion, will probably say, okay, we're going to do with this. But if they say we still don't like the district, they're going to have to give us a district because we got to have people represented in
I think you have to do it before qualifying.
Yeah.
Well,
I know, but she's still got Nancy still got there's some deadlines.
You got qualifying now. So, but I'm saying your September, the old kind of deadlines. The elections in
November, December. I think the qualifying is going to be around August.
Yeah.
If I had to bet.
So, and by the way, you're right. If people don't really pay attention to it, but lawsuits, everybody's can file them, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, but they're going to be suits filed.
Well, because the Supreme Court came in so suddenly and so explicitly on the side of this was racial and basically told them, as long as it's compact, we don't care.
Well, as long as you're not mentioning race, you can do it. It is political. Jay Morris came out, Senator Morris came out and said, look, I did this to help the Republicans. You know what? You can do that.
Yeah.
When you're in charge, it's your job to run, and that's what I've never understand about Republicans. When John McCain lost to Obama, he told McCain, y'all lost, we won, losing has consequences. But Republicans don't seem to ever run with that. They always back off from that instead of being aggressive.
Well, look, no matter how you sugarcoat it, Cleo will no longer be a congressman.
No.
And the Republicans did what is being done across the country, which is their way to add seats to them. And the Republicans the Democrats did the same thing, or even worse. It was so bad in North Carolina, they threw it out.
Yeah.
But it's being done in
Virginia
California.
was where it was done bad. Virginia's where it was,
Yeah, Virginia.
Yeah. They went 10-1.
Yeah.
It was all wrong.
So, and as each domino falls, like the election, this date, all of those elections will start falling, and as they fall, possible lawsuits are removed. So it's just a matter of time. Now we could be shocked, but you can overturn this. The Supreme Court would have to agree to hear it almost immediately for this to all stop.
That's why I think they're gonna pick it. I think the way they did it, when Jeff signs it, the courts are gonna get it and look at it to make sure it's okay, and they're gonna say yay or nay.
Yeah.
If they say nay, they're gonna give the state, here's what y'all drawing it under. They'll give it to them and say, here's what you're going to do, and then we can go back through the process again. But we're going to have elections in the fall. I feel very certain November, December we'll have elections.
That could happen, although, look, the Supreme Court was pretty clear that what they had done was not.
No doubt.
So,
Bernie, so let me go back to the governor just a second. So if you feel like the governor is in good shape because nobody's going to run, but is the Senate and the House in good shape? Are legislators in good shape back home? Can they go back and run on the same thing the governor's running and say, look what we did?
Well,
because that's going to determine. Of course, you got term limits, so we know some of those folks got to leave.
Yeah, remember that poll I did over a year ago? I thought, and you didn't need a poll to feel it. I thought people were very unhappy. They were giving everybody horrible marks, but they were in a bad mood. I don't know if that poll really told us why, but they thought that it was one of them. One of the reasons was obviously insurance, and the legislature addressed that with the governor. Is it enough? Has the public and the voters are they still irritated? If that was the case, I think most legislators are pretty responsive when they getting beat up by their voters over an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't talk to any of them who are being beat up over anything.
The in his polls out there on the governor, I seen where he released the poll was pretty good. I seen other polls he wasn't as strong. Does that really matter when it comes to election time? Because our governor's races, sometimes they got really good turnout, but really the numbers have been going down for a while. Ever since when Bel Air was won, they came down pretty good. In the last election, they didn't have a lot of people vote. So does that say anything?
Well,
or they feel like it's over at some time, and so they just don't go vote.
Well, if people are, if you can say people are unhappy, so they're not voting, or you can say people weren't that irritated, so they're not paying attention. It's one of the other, and I can't tell you with any certainty, even as a pollster, that either one is more correct. I'm not saying that Jeff is overly popular. I'm not saying that Jeff is very unpopular. I'm saying that because of this election and what has happened in the last 3 years and how he won, and the lack of a lot of people out there who are challenging.
So you don't think he gets challenged at all next year by a bunch of people?
It's possible it'll be some nobodies, but
no, I'm talking about somebody with money, because you ain't got no money, you just may as well go home.
No, that's why I'm.
Yeah.
Jeff doesn't have to be 60. The old days. 60%
No, I agree with
that. John Bell at 53.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And won re-election. There's nothing to say that Governor Landry can't be 47, 45 and still be reelected.
Okay, let me take a break. Bernie Pinson, my special guest. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We'll take a break with our friends at Guarantee Broadcast. And, of course, we'll be right back.
And the insurance company isn't treating you right, I'm Spencer Callahan, and I'd like to help. Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 465-2323.
LA 26-20475. Office in DR.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Hi, hello. Welcome back to the Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you back with us. Matthew James Tax Pro Hotline, 844-766-6607 is the number if you'd like to be part of the program. Bernie Pinson is going to hang with us till 11. Nancy Landry about the elections coming up is what we're going to talk to her about today. Hey, Bernie, somebody had a great question. And you may not be looking at the big picture, but I know you're a guy that was in Washington with Bennett and all that, so you understand it. So, we got this major debt problem. They saying they don't know if they're going to be able to sell the bonds this fall. I mean, China's broke, Russia's broke, Europe's broke. Who's going to buy these bonds? And we're going to spend $2 or $3 trillion over what we take in now. So, this is the question. Let's say they can't sell the bonds, or the federal government say, hey guys, we're going to start cutting money to the states 10 or 12%. Then what happens to us? Because we are very federal government dependent. That's the kind of stuff that worries me for our state, because we've become so dependent. Everything's the federal government, and they're going to cut, Bernie. It's a matter of time.
Well, look, any state that has 40% plus or minus Medicaid,
it's a problem.
Has a serious problem in that they need a lot of federal dollars. I mean, we're not talking about just medicines. We're not talking about just hospital visits. We're talking about their children's hospital bills, their children's legal problems. I mean, it's just.
So what would the state have to do if they said, look, we cut the federal government 15%, 10%? I think 10% would probably cost us.
Well, I don't know where we are in the state budget. I'm sure we balanced it this time, and what was the total budget?
Yeah, but $25 billion of it's like from the feds, 27. Yeah. So if you get 10% cut, that's $2.7 billion.
Well, here's what the bottom line is: if it's that kind of debt, Louisiana, we can't print money, so it would be very hard on Jeff. It'd be hard on the legislature.
It'd be hard on the state
because they'd have to make some difficult cuts, and that's let me tell you, that's the last thing you want to do is you run into re-election. Oh,
when you spend money, you everybody love you when you got to cut. No, John Kennedy, who you know very well, was on this program. This has been a year or two now. I won't say last summer, but I don't remember exactly. But I had him on here. I said, John, the federal government is really running up all this debt and insurance. The inflation skyrocketing because of printing of money and borrowing this money. That's why we got inflation. It ain't because prices are high. That causes prices to go up. And I said, are you concerned about it? They said, Moon is, he said his words now. He said, Moon, as long as somebody's buying our debt, we're okay.
Right.
I said, well, that's real good, but what happens if they stop? He said, we're in deep, deep trouble. And he
Right.
wasn't talking about the state, but the country.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked that is there's been some talking about not being able to sell our debt anymore. And, boy, it won't be just us. It'll be the whole country at that point. But I'm looking at Louisiana because I live here.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be on the horizon because of the economy of the United States. I mean, we're entering into a unique golden era. We got more investments pouring into this country. Why wouldn't you want to buy our debt if we can pay it back and pay it back with interest and not even think about it? The money coming into us from all this economic look, we claim that when you expand the businesses, it funds government.
But Bernie, we got
the stock market is going through the roof.
But Bernie, you have a spending
every
problem.
economic sector is
But when you got a spending problem and you don't address it, it will come back and haunt you. I don't care how much you got coming.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
It does, especially if you have a downturn in the economy.
Yeah.
Until we have a downturn, but I don't see that happening right now.
No, I mean, well, today's a new day, but you know, but what happens is, I had a buddy of mine. He said, he asked his mama. He said, "Mom, when did you know I was in a depression?" She said, "We woke up one morning, there it was." Those are the kind of things that concern me.
Right.
I'm looking at big picture, and I look at our state, and I go, "Boy, if you're filling with over 50% of your budget, and all of a sudden you don't get that money coming in." Man, it messes up everything. Like you said, not just the governor, representatives, senators, and everybody, and the people who benefit from that money.
Right. Well, no matter what, though, nobody right now is planning on that. Nobody right now. You can talk about that all you want, but as far as I know right now, including Trump, they're spending money like 20 drunken sailors.
Hey, this is where Republicans come in. If the Democrats take it over, we'll spend it like 150 drunken sailors.
That ain't happening.
Let me take a break. Bernie Pincinat, my special guest, will come back, talk a little bit more about sessions, stuff around the state, elections, all that stuff. We'll take a break. Nancy Landry will join us about the upcoming elections, some questions for her, and also in the fall. So we'll do all that as the program unfolds. We'll be right back. Yeah, so.
I haven't been able to find out.
Okay, I hear the music now. Yes, sir.
I haven't been able to find out what the hell happened on that green bill. You telling me we're going to have a constitutional convention?
Well, you told me that thing got beat in the Senate, huh? The Senate never brought up the bill.
No, we killed it, Lane.
Well, I'm gonna bring it up to you in a minute. I want to talk about it because there's been Lane and other people wanting a constitutional convention, but not this one.
Well, do Republicans want to tell their voters back home we're going to have a constitutional convention, but it's only to be elected officials?
We have a constitutional convention, but y'all don't count.
Y'all go, while we're doing this, y'all take a break.
Yeah.
We're going to create a new government without your input.
Oh, my God.
But, this came from Green.
I saw that.
The Black Caucus.
Yeah.
How did it?
But it passed.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that when we come
back.
back.
How bad it is. Senators were asking me, how did this pass? I mean,
The senators are asking.
Yeah. How did this get out of the House?
Bayham, Bogus, Bo, yeah, all them voted for it. Barack. Yes. Right here.
I heard, Mason, that Dixon had something to do with it. I think he might have led him astray or something.
Y'all welcome back. It is the Moon Griffon Show. Matthew James Tax Pro Hotline. And Bernie Pinson, my special guest. Hey, Bernie, let's go back to, I know you get a kick out of it. So there's a bill that passed yesterday to have a constitutional convention, okay? The deal was by a Democrat Green, but what the bill said, I'm going to sum it up, then I want you to talk about it. So the bill says that we're going to have a constitutional convention and that only the legislature is going to get to go to the Constitutional Convention.
Yeah.
No outside, no constituents, nobody, just them.
Yeah, you start the thing off by telling the public, we're not interested in your opinion.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, as bad as that sounds, it got 78 votes. I think if I counted it right, 44, 45, or 46 were Republicans.
Well, the same bill passed a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It was 72, and that was it. And guess
All
what?
Republicans.
They were all Republicans.
But why would Republicans vote for this bill?
Well, what changed? Why would the Republicans agree to something that they had already passed with 72 votes in the way that, by the way, the biggest sponsor of that type legislation has been Lane Grigsby.
Yeah.
And by the way, they all ran on that. A new constitution, lots of
Well,
them.
this is the third year the session's over. And I'm not a big Constitutional Convention guy. I understand why people want to do it. I understand why Lane didn't want to do it. I get why they want to do it, but the point being is, so I'll back up and say, okay, I'm open, but tell me everything up front before you do it. Okay, I want to know what we're going to do. What's the purpose of it? Are we touching everything? Let us know, and that way you can say, okay, here's why we're going.
Well, I think the Senate, and this is what's really funny about it. I spoke to a couple of senators about it, and they were like, how'd they get out of the House?
Well, they got out of the House with 78 votes.
I know it. They were all like, how'd this get out of the House? Well, they took a look at it, and let me tell you, the Senate.
Who kills bad stuff and kills good stuff, let bad stuff go forward. They killed it.
They killed it.
Wow, that don't happen every day.
I know it. Well, I tell you how bad it is, how totally out of touch and reason is. And I don't know if somebody or something interfered with the talking points, or somebody maybe convinced them that what they saw was not correct, but to have to go to a constitutional convention with that language, I mean, everybody would have been fighting to kill it.
But it looks like to me, as much as I stay on the Senate, I have to praise them for shutting this puppy down.
Yeah,
you know.
No, I got to give them credit. They were. I mean, seriously, they asked me, how did this get out of the House? So somebody, whoever's Mike Eccles is now the head of the Republican.
Yeah.
By the way, I wish somebody would call me and tell me how they think this was really good legislation.
I'm trying to understand something.
They're all kind of hiding, by the way.
I know, but I'm not trying to be ugly. But the Speaker of the House and the Senate President have a lot of power and clout, and what they do is they can control what bills come to the floor or not. It's just a fact. They can control what goes to a committee. They can control who votes on the committee, and the Speaker was absent, and so the Speaker didn't take a stand on the bill. But I don't understand how the Speaker of the House, not being ugly, but why didn't he say, no, guys, that's crazy. That's ludicrous.
Well, he might have just decided, not to vote, and they show him absent. But he might have said, I'm not voting for this. I'm not going to presuppose what his feelings were.
You're going to have to agree with me on this. I think you will. You're Speaker of the House and Senate President. I've seen Governor, not just Landry, all of them come up to the committees to let you know you're not voting for this. I'll give you an example. On this carbon capture sequestration, Philip DeVilliers showed up at the front of the deal with the eminent domain and all this stuff and sat up there and made sure they voted right.
Right.
So I'm saying when that bill went to the committee, why didn't Philip, I'm using Philip as an example, any of them didn't go to the committee and say, we're killing it, guys, you better not vote for it, and sit there and let them vote on it. They can vote on it, but they better vote against it because they do that on bills they want to beat.
Oh, yeah.
And they do that on bills they want to pass.
I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and blame anybody because I think there might have been.
It's not, Bernie, it's not meant to blame. follow me on this.
Yeah.
It's a matter of why you stand up for some bills and not other ones.
Yeah,
You stood up against all the CCS stuff that went through there, and you stand against it because you for the CCS and the money, and I get it. But don't do some and not do others. It's a horrible bill.
I'm not going to take up for him on that. And you have every right to be critical of it. That does happen.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
This has nothing to do with a good or bad session.
It's just one bill. Just one bill.
No, but how does something like that happen when you got a supermajority of Republicans? Or do we have a supermajority?
Well, Republicans we do, but let's stop right there. Republicans own it. They own the House. They own the Senate. They can literally take, except for bills that have to have 2/3.
Yeah.
They could literally take every bill.
But I
and
know,
never talk to a Democrat.
But I know most of them, especially the freshman class, they all ran. Most of them ran on a new Constitution convention, and they were all saw myself and other people like the Eddies of the world. You know, the Lane Grigsby's. They all profess that they want a new Constitution. So they vote for it. They do the right thing. Now, the Senate kills it, did the wrong thing, and then it comes back to the Senate. And the Senate, it's so bad now the Senate can't vote for it.
By the way, that's what I'm telling you. The Senate, I'm not real pleased with them a lot of time, but this time I'm happy.
Yeah. No, they were the backstop.
Yeah, ain't no doubt about it. This time they were.
But I've just never seen anything so silly as this. I mean, this is a head scratcher. How in the hell did that happen? Somebody ought to in the Republican delegation ought to ask, how did we do this?
They passed a couple other things that you might ain't be aware of because you like me, you can't follow everything. But early in the session, you realize the House passed a bill. I got the votes with 60 votes to study government-run grocery stores. That is a fact. I got the bills. Hold up. I'll find them so you can go look them up. Okay, then 2 days later, they passed a bill to fund up to hundreds of government-run grocery stores.
Fund?
Hold up. I know you didn't see this. Hold up, Bernie, just so I don't mess you up. Bernie said, actually, I'm worried about Bernie. Bernie's about to punch me.
What?
All right. House Bill 1222. Okay. Passed the bill through the House yesterday to let LED subsidize grocery stores.
Oh.
Not a study. Actual bill. Fiscal note $1.3 million over 5 years just to implement the program, not including the cost of any actual grants. Bernie, it passed, but it won't come up now. I can't see it. 60-something votes. Why would you even allow that? Why would you even allow something like this to go forward with Republicans? Okay. Here's another one. They had a resolution to study New York City-style rent controls.
Really?
Now it got killed.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. They had another one designed to roll back our law that banned chemical drugs and abortions. I'm not making this stuff up to you. How can something like that happen in a Republican Congress, in a Republican House and Senate that has 2/3 of a vote? I'm asking you.
Well, look, individual legislators with individual ideas and districts get requests to do stuff. Some of it's really stupid. Some of it they'll pay attention to. Some may have, but there is no rhyme or reason, and not all of them. But that
kind of stuff.
But not all of them do it. It's just.
Yeah, but it's too many.
It's going to be somebody who doesn't have any responsibility, and maybe his voters don't pay attention to him.
House Bill 1194 2 weeks ago opened the door for government-owned grocery stores. This is happening in our Senate. I mean, this is happening in our House. I got this. I gave you the bill numbers. I can't make it up. Go read it. I read them, and I was just floored that stuff like that even comes up.
Well,
what are we doing?
Maybe he thinks we need to start following the government leadership of the new mayor of New York, Mandami. But the only problem with that is as New York City and New York is finding out, Florida is blowing everybody away. Their budget is half of New York's, and they're giving tax money back.
You saw what DeSantis wants to do?
Oh.
Homestead exemption, $250.
Oh,
raise it to
but
$250.
raise it to a $500,000. No, raise it to $500 million, so that there is no property tax.
Oh, my
and
God.
they're going to do it.
I believe they're going to do it too. But when you got your fiscal house in order, you can do that.
Well,
and maybe all the stuff you're talking about will happen, and we'll be able to do it one day.
But there's a vast difference between Florida Republicans and Louisiana Republicans.
Oh, no doubt. Well, starting to question a lot of Louisiana Republicans. Let me take a break, Walk. Let's take a break. 844-766-6607. We'll take a break. Be right back.
You have some people that would fit in.
What I'm saying is the two deals. Hi, hello, welcome back. It is the Moon Griffon Show. By the way, don't forget Nancy Landry, Secretary of State, got some questions for her with elections, give you some insight on what's going on. Bernie Pinson out, my special guest, Matthew James, Tax Pro Hotline. So, Bernie, session's over again. Elections next year, so they're pretty much done. Unless something comes up we don't know about, it's pretty much done till next year. So
yeah, a lot of the groups will start. Lobbyist groups. I'm involved with a couple of them. Yeah, we started looking for candidates right after the session, and to run for the open seats.
Yeah.
Now the one of the things that tells legislators how they're doing is that generally after the session, and then by the end of the year, start of the year, you'll have a pretty good idea how lively it's going to be by people announcing that they're running against such and such who's an incumbent. You'll have people announcing that they're running for an open seat. But if you get 20 people running for incumbent seats early on, then God help incumbents.
Good luck.
Yeah, but I don't see that as the case right now. Like I said, we have a sort of our own brand of Republicanism, but we got more than a handful of Republican House members who are, they can go to any state, sit in their legislature, and they know how to vote.
Yeah.
And you can't fool them.
Yeah.
They're really good legislators, and they're everything they say that you want in a legislator. They don't vote for stuff because they're pressured into it.
One of the reasons I'll use one name, just one name, and you ain't got to even respond if you don't want to, but Beryl Hamady reminds me of a person that reads stuff. So when she votes, you may not like a vote, but she probably knows what she's voting on.
Let me tell you something about Beryl. There's also something else I picked up. Even with some of the freshmen, you can tell they don't like her. They really don't. They don't like the way she votes because, you know why?
She reads the bill.
Well, she not only reads the bill, but she's a stark contrast to them. And they don't like that kind of light being shown on them ever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She's conservative to the point of being, but you know what? When I look at people that claim to be conservatives, there's a lot of hypocrites. But when I look at conservatives that are real conservative, she don't boast about anything. She's not out there running her mouth. She just said, hey, this is what I read. This is not. I'll give you an example. When we went on the redistricting, when they did the redistricting, when they came and gave me Cleo Field's seat, she was the one who went up to the Bo Boyer and said, I got a question. Is this being drawn on racial gerrymandering? And he said, yes, it is. He said, that's all I need to know. And I asked her later, I said, what was that? She said, because once you told me that you were building a district on race, I knew it was unconstitutional. I voted against it.
Yeah.
Pretty practical.
Right.
Everybody would have listened to her. We wouldn't have the mess that we had.
Well, but when she votes like that, the others, she shows them off. She stands out.
But what I'm saying, she's doing it without, she's not being a loudmouth in the room. She's not saying you're wrong. She's not condemning nobody. She's saying, look, I read the bill. This is what it says. And when you ask a question like that, and the guy answers the question, and she goes, thank you. She didn't even ask another question.
Right.
She didn't say, well, that's wrong. She didn't go into any of that. She said, okay, thank you.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, and I've tell people this. It doesn't take me very long to see who's what as a legislator, how you vote, how you posture yourself. But I ran into Steve Scalise at the Capitol, and I hadn't seen him in a long time, and we were glad to see each other. But Steve's one of the guys I talk about. Back then, being a conservative was not popular. He was a Republican, and they elected their leaders in a phone booth, as Edmund Evans. But Steve Scalise was out there. He didn't put up with stuff in here. He didn't care if they liked him or not. And if you want to be a congressman, you want to be a senator like John Kennedy, Kennedy doesn't care if you like him or not. Yeah. He's going to do what he's going to do, and he doesn't care about pressure from his fellow legislators. And if he makes you look bad, he don't care. But that's what it takes. If you want to go in there and be buddies with people, you make an okay legislator. But if you want to become a statewide elected official, and you're okay with just being part of the crowd, most of those people, as we found out last cycle, all those people ran statewide who were part of the problem in the House, and they all ran statewide for something. They don't do very well in elections against real conservatives. They get beat.
Yeah, well, they got a record too.
Yeah.
Darn it. Record matters.
Yeah.
Real quick, we mentioned the session, what it was. I claimed yesterday that I think the two big winners were people pushing CCS, and I think trial lawyers hadn't got beaten back at all in this session. I may be wrong, but I think those two things. Everything CCS wanted to beat, they did. I'm talking about carbon capture sequestration. You can say oil and gas, whatever. I'm friends with all those guys. But any bill they wanted to pass, they got passed. Everything they wanted to get beat, they did. And I think on the flip side, the trial lawyers did the same. If I'm wrong, tell me, because I'd like to know where I'm wrong.
Well, I don't. Here's what I'm curious about, and we'll find out. Remember, we had those figures that was astounding people, and Jeff was even defending them. And Jeff said they filed too many. Jeff was admitting that they filed too many lawsuits, and But soft tissue. If I think Emily's bill addressed that, somebody's. If we still have thousands and thousands of soft tissue lawsuits, then we did nothing. And that's, to me, one of the things we got to look at.
In other words, I always say when a session's over, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 months to really realize what's happening. CB used to teach me that. He said, man, it's going to take a few months for you to figure out everything that went on.
Yeah, the soft tissue lawsuits just clog our courts up, and the insurance companies just, rather than pay the it's like they're being blackmailed, and they just pay it because it could get worse with the wrong judge or the wrong jury. But the soft tissue is where I thought most legislators began to realize that that's where the money was for the trial bar. And did they make a dent in that? And is it slowing down? I think that'll tell you a lot. Yeah. And I haven't seen anyone with those numbers.
But the reason why I brought the CCS is I met with Exxon. I met with some of the big business guys. I mean, I've sat down and listened to every argument.
Yeah.
And I even told some friends of mine, I said, what are y'all panicking over? I said, in this state, big money will roll over you. Big money usually wins. I said, y'all not going to lose anything. Even the eminent domain, whatever, I said, you're just not going to lose anything because people look at it, this is big money, get out of the way. And I think that's what they were able to do muscle their way through the whole process.
Yeah, and this is not a lot of
Whether
people.
I like it or not ain't the point. I'm just making a statement.
It's not a lot of people benefiting. You know, it's like some people who are connected or have the right industries are going to make a lot of money.
It's never that,
it's doing nothing for the state.
It's never that. It's the people that got big money can hire the best lobbyists and lawyers, and they're going to win. And that was my big frustration with it was with those two things. If I had to look at the overall picture, and I hope we have done something.
Well, here's what I question, and I know because I was lobbied from day one. You know, will all this come back and bite the oil and gas industry when they need the average voter?
Good question. All right, thank you, Bernie. Been a while. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Nancy Landry, Secretary of State, when we get back, a lot of questions for her dealing with the current elections and stuff, and there's a court date deal that already came up today. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. Don't go nowhere. All right, Mr.
Hey guys, it's Joe. And look, I've been really tired lately. Not just I need another cup of coffee tired, but like really tired. It was affecting my work life, my family life, everything. So I finally went and talked to Dr. Alexis Ammons, DNP, at Nova Wellness. Got the full workup, the labs, the hormone panels, the whole picture. It's not just a diagnosis, it's an explanation as to why you're feeling the way you feel, and it's a roadmap to get better. Reach out. Go to mynovawellness.com. That's Dr. Alexis Ammons, DNP, Nova Wellness, right here in Lafayette.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This hour of news is brought to you by Matthew James Tax Pros. Online at MatthewJames.com.
You're listening to The Moon Griffon Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station.
What it will take to get a deal done. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Condition number one is they have to reopen the straits.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio at a Senate hearing.
And reopening the straits means the following. Ships can sail through international waters the way they can do through other choke points around the world without being fired upon, without paying a toll.
Rubio telling Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy that would open the door to phase 2 negotiations on Iran's nuclear program and disposing of its enriched uranium.
In order to get to that second phase, are you willing to release sanctions or release frozen money that the United States is with?
Rubio says sanctions relief has not been offered for reopening the Strait of Hormuz. A day after President Trump said Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon agreed to stop shooting at each other, they're still fighting, with media reports in Iran saying Iran has stopped communicating with mediators after insisting on enforcement of a ceasefire in Lebanon. It's primary day in 6 states, including California, which has more than 60 candidates for governor to replace term-limited Gavin Newsom. 14 running for L.A. mayor. The top 2 advanced to November, though the mayor's race could be decided tonight if someone gets more than 50%. Voters also head to the polls in New Jersey, Iowa, New Mexico, Montana, and South Dakota. A federal judge in Boston hears arguments on new mail-in voting rules and whether states have to comply.
Several Democratic-led states and voting rights groups are challenging an executive order from President Trump requiring the federal government to compile a list of confirmed U.S. citizens eligible to vote in each state. The measure would also limit the Postal Service to deliver ballots to voters on each state's approved mail-in ballot list. State officials say the order violates the state's role in administering elections and could cause confusion in an election year.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a U.S.-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms of
transitioning from crawfish to shrimp season. Up next from Piggly Wiggly. Well, it's about that time to head out to the patio or the outdoor kitchen and start up that shrimp fryer. And if you want to do something a little different this year, a great ingredient to add to your shrimp batter is powdered coconut milk. Now, if you just want a slightly sweet and crispy shrimp without the coconut flavor, try 1 or 2 teaspoons per pound of shrimp. Now, if you like the flavor of a restaurant-style coconut shrimp, make it a full tablespoon per pound. And if you think you already make the perfect shrimp, just forget about what I just said.
For more great ideas, visit gotothepig.com.
Get more with these sizzling savings at your locally owned and operated Piggly Wiggly. This week, Springer Mountain Farms premium whole fryers, $1.39 a pound. Boneless beef shoulder roast, $5.99 a pound. Big Easy shrimp, 3 for $11. And bone-in sirloin in pork chops, $1.49 a pound. In Cecilia, Church Point, Opelousas, rain and sky. Price is good through June 2nd.
This is a Louisiana Job Alert brought to you by PECI. Pipeline, Environmental, and Compression Industries, PECI, has immediate full-time openings for project managers, IT, accounting, mechanics, field project managers, and personnel with GPS total station experience. PECI offers top pay with benefits, medical, dental, 401k, signing bonuses, paid time off. If you're a project manager, IT, accounting, mechanic, field project manager, or work with GPS total station experience, then PECI wants to talk to you. Call 337-235-2600. Attention job seekers. PECI is now hiring. Call 337-235-2600. That's 337-235-2600. Or go to PECIND.com and click on careers. This has been a Louisiana Job Alert, brought to you by PECI, an equal opportunity employer.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
Hi, hello, welcome back. It is the Moon Griffon Show, number 3.
Tell you we're live.
Oh, we live now?
No, Mike's hot now.
Okay. I jumped the gun. Can I blame my producer here? Kay's going to blame me. I don't care as long as you pay me. Kate, it wasn't a problem, my brother. All righty, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show in Baton Rouge, in conjunction with Talk 107.3 FM, my friends at Guarantee Broadcasting. We're going to jump gears because I got to get out of here as quick as I can. Honored to have Secretary of State Nancy Landry. Good to see you.
Thanks, Moon. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
We're going to move on real quick. So the next election is June 27th.
That's right.
Early voting is when?
Early voting starts June 13th and runs through June 20th.
Okay, so it's normally a week before, then you got a week off, and you vote for that.
Right.
Okay, that's all set.
Right.
All right, let's get into the questions. People are asking you, can I still register to vote in another party?
They can still register to vote in another party for this election up until Saturday, June 6th. Saturday, June 6th is the deadline to change your party affiliation or anything about your voter registration and to register if you're registering for the first time for this June 27th election, for it to take effect for that election.
So I get a call, and they said, okay, Moon, whenever you registered the first time, if you voted last time, and you put it as a Democrat or Republican, okay, you have to vote in a runoff as a Republican or Democrat side, correct?
You're talking about no party voters.
Yes, I want to get to them in a second. No
so you're
party.
talking about if you are an unaffiliated voter, we call them no party voters, then you chose in the May 16th election, if you chose to vote in the Democratic primary or the Republican primary, you are locked into that choice through the June 27th election.
Okay, and pretty simple.
Yes.
Pretty simple. All right.
If you chose the no party ballot, you can now choose again.
So you get that. That was the question I was asked. So if you go and you choose or didn't vote, you still can walk in and say, I want to vote in a Republican primary if you're no party or Democrat.
Correct. You can choose a new for the June 27th. And just so everybody knows, this is what the law says. It's not Secretary of State making up these rules.
This is when they send it to you.
This is the law that was passed by the legislature.
Yeah, sure.
That, as you know, I didn't take a position in it, but we're bound to follow the law as it written, and so that's the law.
It would have been so easy if they'd had Republicans vote and Democrats vote. That would have been it. I know that's not it, but it'd been real easy on everybody. Let's be blunt.
That is what I think the bill originally said as it was going through, and at the last minute, the no-party voters were added in the Senate, I think. So that was in 2024.
Okay. You made something last time you were with me, and I want to say it was this year. Okay, it was early in the year, but it was this year. You said Well, Moon, the Republicans are within 20,000 registered voters to the Democrats. You updated the numbers, and I went, wow. So where are we now with registered Republican, registered Democrats?
We have now 1,063,592 Democrats and 1,062,890 Republicans. So we're the Republicans are within around 700 votes of of passing the Democrats.
That's changed
That's
since
just
early in the year.
January, right? So
Wow.
since January, we've had 10,872 new Republicans.
Okay, you might have this, and if you don't, that's fine. We'll move on. Did no party go up or down?
No party went up even more. 11,062 voters changed their voter registration to no party or registered for the first time as a no party.
Do you think that was people that were Democrat or Republican wanting to vote in the closed primaries? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
I don't know. I haven't analyzed it any further than knowing what they did. But it could have had something to do with it. I mean, I think we did a really good media push ahead of the election, telling people that if you're a Republican, you have to vote in the Republican primary. If you're a Democrat, you have to vote in the Democrat primary. And if you're no party, you get to choose. And so some people might have wanted to make that choice, and so they might have switched to no party in advance of that election.
Before we go to the bills that you pushed through, real quick, was there any real controversy? And the reason why I'm asking about that is, and I think I told you this, Nancy, I walked in, I knew what to do before they even put it in front of me. The lady, we did my driver's license, and she puts the sheet of paper in front of me. I said, oh, good, Republican, sign my name. She went, whoa, there's just something wrong. She said, no, you did it right. She said, but I didn't even tell you what to do. And I said, no, I said, I figured if I'm no party. I had to check Republican. She said, well, but she didn't even explain it. I said, no, but she said, well, she knew who I was. She said, yeah, but you follow. I said, I didn't follow this. I was told we had to check something and sign it. And I saw it immediately. It was so simple, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
If you want to say 10 to be nice, we can be 10. So was there any major problem?
We tried to make it as simple as possible. It had 3 boxes. It clearly said choose the ballot you want for the no party voters. They were all handed that piece of paper, and they got to make that choice. Whenever we have a new election procedure, though, it does take a while for voters to learn it. I think we did a great job of media outreach. We did TV, radio, social media, direct mail to every voter, and so most voters were aware. But of course, there always is that learning curve, and some people may have checked the wrong box and were surprised when they got into the voting booth of what ballot they got. But they clearly made the choice on the piece of paper.
But my question is this: it couldn't have been that many. Do you even know the percentage of no party voting? It
was around 18% who turned out no party voters.
So
the
when
overall turnout was 28%.
Yeah, but when you look at the overall thing, only 18% could have the problem. And let's be blunt, most of them probably did pretty good.
Right. I think overall it was very successful, considering it was the first time we were using a new procedure to vote, a new closed party primary system that the legislature passed. And so we thought it went, as well as could be expected.
By the way, I would say this just in saying, probably every election is going to have a few hiccups. I just can't believe it's that easy, especially when you got millions of people to vote. You gotta have a few hiccups. It's just part of it.
We have humans who work really hard, and we have elections commissioners that we hire, thousands of them across the state. They do a great job. We couldn't do elections without their help, and we really appreciate them. But sometimes they make a mistake. And
I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about maybe the voter going in and not really understanding it, and you got to explain it. And that's what I meant more on the people's side than your side.
Yeah, there are.
But you're just going to have some problems.
There are always somebody who didn't understand. So, but we tried to make it as easy as we could, and we thought it was overall very successful.
Okay. You had 3 bills you pushed in a session.
Yes.
Can you talk about them? Did they pass? Or where
they did, and we are having a bill signing ceremony today. We're very excited about them. We had 3 election integrity bills. One of them, the signature piece, was the one that Senator Thomas Presley carried, and it was Senate Bill 319, and it strengthened our voter ID laws. Currently, the voter ID law said you could use a generally recognized ID, and so some people were coming with Costco cards or their work ID, and we wanted it to be consistent across the state and to make sure that it was an ID that actually verifies your identity. So this bill makes it clear that it has to be on this list. The ID you present has to be on the list that's now in the law.
By the way, good bill.
And it's consistent across the state. And we worked with several conservative think tanks on that bill: Honest Elections Project, Heritage Action, and Advancing American Freedom. And they all were very supportive of that bill and helped us to get that bill passed too. The second one was a bill that Chairman Bo Boyer carried, and that one was House Bill 691, and it put into law and codified the practice that we already do in my office, which is we run our voter rolls through the SAVE data to see if there are any non-citizens on our rolls. And although I intend to do that the whole time I'm in office, we wanted to make sure that future secretaries of state will also do that to keep our voter rolls clean. It's very important, and the foundation of good elections.
Another good bill.
To keep our voter rolls clean. And the last one was a bill by Polly Thomas. I think it was House Bill 547, and that bill prohibits photographing the precinct register. The precinct register has voters' personally identifiable information on it. It's where you sign when you come in. And we had a couple of instances where people had photographed that and posted it on social media. So we wanted to make sure that our voter data was protected. And so that is now going to be an election offense if you take a photograph and post it online of people's personally identifiable information. But so we're real excited. We, as you know, are already number 4 in the nation in election integrity, and we hope that these bills will help us move up, and we are going to contend for that number 1 spot now.
When I talked to you earlier before I get you out of here, I told everybody I think we get 25 to 28%. I hit it almost on the head. We had 400,000 plus in a Republican primary. Do you expect that number to stay there? You expect it to come down? Or is it any way really to know before early voting starts? And early voting may not be a good hamper. June 27th, the week before July 4th. Yeah. I'm concerned it being 280, 300,000. And nothing you can do about it. I'm just asking.
We will tell voters where and when, the election is, and do everything we can for voters to know that there's an election coming. But we can't. If voters are not excited about the candidates, that drives turnout, and so we have to just wait and see if they're going to be excited about going to vote in these runoffs. And we don't really have anything in the past to compare it to because we haven't had closed party primaries in so long. So there's no way for me to predict that turnout.
You don't have many June elections.
And also this election was moved by the legislature, so we don't have late June elections to compare it to either.
No, I think it's whoever can get your vote out, because what happened in the first round is totally different in the second round. And I've seen candidacies, and I'm not really talking about the Senate race. I'm talking about anything. I've seen where people were leading, looked good, and it flipped. Just because you don't know who's going to vote, which makes it unique. This is a unique election.
It is unique, and every election is a new election. And so there will be, on some ballots, some local races, some local runoffs, some local props.
Make a difference.
But there are some people who won't have anything on their ballot if they are a no-party voter and they're in a parish that doesn't have a parish-wide prop, and they choose the no-party ballot. They might not have anything. So it's a very different election in that regard. So
you show up as a no-party person and you don't want to vote in the Senate race, you may as well go fishing that day.
No, some people have local runoffs.
No, I'm talking about if there's no local, just the Senate race.
But you can always check your sample ballot at govote.com or the Go Vote mobile app and see what your ballot will have on it before
Basically,
you go vote.
what the Secretary of State's saying, go vote, go make sure you got to check it out local.
And June 6th is the deadline to register or change your registration.
All right, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Moon. Thanks for having me on.
Secretary of State Nancy Landry. We'll take a break. More to come. Moon Griffon Show right after this.
barbecue, pick up some of their delicious fresh or smoked sausage. Get you some of their fantastic specialty meats like deboned stuffed chickens, stuffed with seafood or boudin, pork, or everyone's personal favorite, cornbread dressing, steaks, bacon-wrapped chicken breast and thighs, pork loins, and of course, the best boudin and cracklins anywhere in Acadiana. Best Stop products are available in Acadiana grocery stores, but if you don't see the Best Stop in your favorite store, ask and then ask again. For the best food in Acadiana, make it the Best Stop. Just off I-10 in Scott and Highway 90 in Broussard, I-49 in Carencro, Toledo Bend, Katy, Texas, and now in Baytown just off I-10. Order online too at beststopinscott.com. The Best Stop. They got some good groceries, folks.
I'm John Fleming, and I authorized and paid for this ad.
When money is being hidden, lies are being told. The Accountability Project, a pro-Julia Letlow operation, refuses to disclose its donors. Millions to attack and lie about John Fleming. Who's pulling Letlow's strings? The hidden donors will tell you, but the money and donors are hidden. Hidden money financing big lies. Fact, John Fleming was Deputy Chief of Staff for President Trump, serving several feet away from the Oval Office. Fact, Fleming never lobbied for a foreign country or Big Pharma. He represented Bossier Parish to help Barksdale Air Force Base. Fact, Letlow supports quotas, preferences of DEI. Fleming opposes it. Fact, Letlow graded F, failure on border security. Fleming an A. Fact, Fleming opposes carbon sequestration. Letlow voted for it. And Letlow's fiancée is a big-time carbon sequestration lobbyist. And that's billions for some global companies and investors. Hiding money, hiding donors, so they can hide Letlow's record. Now, who's the fraud in this election?
Louisiana's most powerful voice on the airwaves. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show.
Mike's hot.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Thanks, Gary. That was perfect. 844-766-6607 is the number if you'd like to be part of the program. Your opportunity to be a voice. Appreciate Nancy coming by because there was a question. I was laughing because I actually talked to a couple of clerks about somebody, if they didn't do it the first time, they came in and wanted to pick, if a no-party person picked something, could they vote? And I said, well, of course they can vote. And when I asked the clerk, oh, yeah, they can vote. They said, well, let me check on that. But anyway, we laughed. I laughed with a couple of them because, I mean, just trying to make sure you don't put out the wrong information. I do not like to put out the wrong information. I mean, I get it right all the time, but I don't like to put out the wrong information. So anyway, it is what it is. So interesting guest, Bernie. It was good to have Bernie in here. That's why I brought up the CCS. They got their way. They got their way pretty easy. There was several votes. Some votes they didn't even get to take. And but they got what they wanted to kill, they killed, and what they wanted to pass, they got passed. It's just the way it is. I'm just telling y'all. Same thing with the, for the most part, the trial lawyers. And I'm not talking about you trial lawyers that are trial lawyers. I'm talking about the big TV billboard trial lawyers. Same thing with Cormouche and the oil and gas industry. I mean, it was a great piece. Mark Earhart, who's been on this program many a time, but Girl Louisiana, he actually had a really, really good piece in the Hayride about protecting our people and protecting our businesses and jobs. And these lawsuits are doing nothing but bringing them down. Just bringing them down to the ground. And that's something that we need to get out of. We need to really get away from. And so time will tell on that, but I'm hoping some of these cases will hit the federal courts where the Supreme Court said they have to go to the federal court. And I'm hoping federal judges or trial judge, whatever they trial under, will start beating back on these lawsuits to help Louisiana grow like it needs to grow. I know the governor's talking about all these businesses. You heard Bernie talk about all these businesses. And I just want to make sure that the TV trial lawyers don't all of a sudden go after businesses and new businesses and all these businesses that are starting. It's a process. And if they go after the oil and gas and they can't make money on them, they're going to go after the chemical plants. If they can't make money on them, or when they run them dry, they're going to go after something else. And if they need to go after construction companies, they will. They're already going after big trucking companies. As you see, every commercial is somebody jumping on the top of a roof of a truck. One day they're going to jump on one of these roofs and they're going to cave in. I hope all the trial lawyers that are the TV trial lawyers that are talking about trucks, I hope they're not jumping on the same truck Sooner or later, the roof's going to cave in. They jump on it so much with their commercials. So it's a process that we need to beat this back for Louisiana to move forward. The other thing I talked to Bernie about which is something I've been with our audience, and I've had experts and people on here about the national debt. Bernie made a comment. Nobody's worried about that right now. No, that's the problem. It is a problem. When you spend $1 trillion in interest on a national debt, it's a problem. $1 trillion a year, which is more than we spent on the military. So what Bernie said hit me kind of hard because he said, you know what? Nobody's worrying about that right now. No, that's why I brought up the point on the Great Depression. As my friend said, his mom said, when he asked, when do you know you was in a Great Depression? I woke up one morning, that was, and that's, you got to get away from that. Bernie made the point, a lot of investment coming in here. That's good, but you can invest as much as you want to. I can go make as much money as I want to. Let's say I wanted to make $2 million a year, and I made $2 million a year. I don't, but let's say I did. If I'm spending $3 million, all the money I'm making is not going to make up for the $3 million that I'm spending. And that's the point I was trying to make. You can say all this money's coming in and we spent getting all this money to come in the United States of America, but we're overspending. We're overspending. So how much you make doesn't matter. How much you spend will matter. You know, if I'm making enough money to have 3 car notes and a house and 2 boat notes and a camp or a condo, and I got money coming in, I'm doing good, that's fine. But what happens when I got less money coming in than it's going out? More money going out than coming in. You know, I run into a problem. I run into a big problem. So, anyway, I just wanted to make sure I threw that out there. All right, we got to take a break. 844-766-6607. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Yeah, Mark, you turn that up. Just tell me when to go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, folks, it's Moon Griffon. 250 years America, nothing but freedom, and by the grace of God, he's given us a country that has been the shining light for the whole world to see. We never want to lose that. Freedom and the grace of God has made this country great. And thank Americans. We ought to celebrate and be thankful in the country we live in. God bless America. Simple? Simple, but okay.
Fungus.
Living with toe fungus it's embarrassing. I was afraid to take my socks off. I hid my yellow and crumbly toes from everybody.
Introducing Crystal Flush. Crystal Flush is the only FDA-registered 2-in-1 home treatment that attacks your toe fungus from both the inside and out. Crystal Flush's new and different combination system knocks out toe fungus for good. Guaranteed.
Crystal Flush is different. After just a few weeks, my fungus was gone. I mean, 100% disappeared. Crystal Flush was the only thing that ever worked. So if you're skeptical because you tried a bunch of other stuff, Crystal Flush is different. This is a game changer.
Crystal Flush is now available without a prescription, but it is not available in stores. Get your risk-free supply today. Go to crystalflush.com. That's CRYSTAL flush.com. Stop being embarrassed by ugly yellow toenails. Go to crystalflush.com or call 800-204-4484.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-923-6829 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-923-6829. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
From the heart of Louisiana, the voice you can't ignore. This is the Moon Griffon Show.
Mike's hot.
Hi, hello. Welcome back to the Moon Griffon Show. That is me. Great to have you back with us. 844-766-6607 is the number if you'd like to be part of the program. So, legislature's going to take a lap. The governor, everybody's going to take a lap. That's fine with me. I follow the session. Didn't follow this one as much as I normally do. When people are getting in touch with you and we passing stuff like to study government-run grocery stores, you know, it bothers me. It always happens that way. We're going to find some stuff that came through the legislature we're not going to be happy about. We're just not going to be real happy about it. I want to talk a little bit about the Senate race. Miss Julia Letlow, Congresswoman Julia Letlow, and State Treasurer John Fleming. So everybody's asking me what I think. And I think this is going to be a very close election. I think it's going to be a very close election because the dynamics have changed. I think with Cassidy in the race and the people that were anti-Cassidy, people that wanted to vote against Cassidy. Let me back up. I want to apologize. I don't like to call people anti-Cassidy. People that were pro-Trump and people that thought Cassidy got out of whack is who I'm talking for. Okay? I'm not. Somebody will say, I'm going to say this, Kay going to probably throw something at. He's my second producer today. Walker's my real one, Kay's my sometime one. You can listen to this program and say, boy, you were anti-Bill Cassidy. I get it. But I was never anti-Bill Cassidy. What I was against what the man did, what he stood for, and what he tried to do to Donald Trump for 5 or 6 years. I thought he was wrong. And so I pointed it out. Now, you can say, oh, he gave me Psycho Bill. Well, that's the psycho. I'm for him. I'm against him. I'm for him. I'm against him. And he's all over the place. And that, to me, is psycho. Now, maybe that ain't the kindest word that you can put on somebody. Okay, but I've been called worse. The difference between Psycho Bill and nicknames like that is I can say theirs on the air. What they call me, you cannot put on the radio. That's the difference. And you had a different type voter that was going to vote. They had let me back up. Not different type voter, but you had different angles. You had different ways of looking at an election, you had people who were going to beat Bill Cassidy. He should have known that. I bet you if Bill could have go back hindsight, he'd have kept his mouth shut about impeaching and not voted guilty. Remember, people got mad at Cassidy because Bill did what we told him not to do. Don't vote to convict Donald Trump. Don't vote to. We begged him, and he did it anyway. So really, Mary Landrieu did the same thing. They got cocky. They got sloppy. They determined that they were so powerful. Do you realize how powerful a United States senator is? It's very powerful, folks. You can get stuff done that nobody else can get done in this country. And I'm not talking about the president. I'm talking about a senator. One of 100 people out of 350 million people. It's a powerful position. To get cocky doesn't surprise me with most United States senators. And her and Mary Landrieu did the cardinal sin. They looked back at their base and said, go take a flying rip. I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Ain't nothing you people can do about it because I got plenty of money to run for re-election. I got all I need. Everybody's patting me on the back. And they got cocky and they messed up. So there was no sense for Cassidy to ever vote guilty on Trump for bogus. They're already talking about impeaching the man again if they got in charge. And they already talked about impeaching him multiple times. Bill outsmarted himself. But people went to send a message to Bill Cassidy, and they sent it. 75 to 76% of the people said, we don't want you in the Republican Party. I personally think he'd have got beat in an open primary. I really do. I'm not making a – he would have had to run against a Republican. He'd have got beat because there was no reason for the Democrats, and in our state, most of the Democrats are minorities, to be excited about Bill Cassidy, who got an R by his name. So I think he gets beat regardless. But this race now is centered on two people. If people would take the time and look at the issues, look and determine for themselves without listening to some pack run commercials beating the hell out of somebody, I don't care what side they're on, go look at the issues. Go look at what people voted for, what they stood for, what they said, what they've done. Those are legit. That's why I think this race is going to be pretty close. General consensus is, because of the way the numbers fell the first round, there are people that think that it's over. Personally, I think it's far from over because we don't know who's going to vote, and that's what I was bringing up to Nancy, and she's right to answer the way she did. She can't give us a percentage of voters because we're voting in a closed primary in June. Can anybody raise their hands when they remember in Louisiana we voted in June in a closed primary? And if the answer is never, then how can you determine what's going to happen? The week before the 4th of July weekend, which a lot of people celebrate that the week of. Some people are going to take both weekends off in the whole week. Some will take the 4th of July through the next week. You know, I'm just telling y'all, 4th of July is on a Saturday. That means I don't get a day off, Kate. Maybe so. If y'all take it off, I'm taking it off. Kate said, I'm off, so I don't care what you do. Understand what I'm saying right here is that this is a different election. The people that went out to go vote to beat Bill Cassidy, there is no Bill Cassidy. There are people that wouldn't vote for somebody because of an endorsement. They wouldn't vote for somebody because they saw somebody had work with China, work with Dr. Fauci, all that stuff's lies. I like what Bernie said. Bernie said this on there, but I think he did say it on there. But I know he said it off. He said, the nasty commercials in this Senate race are outrageous. They're not even close. Now, that was Bernie Pinson that. I don't even know who Bernie voted for. He said outrageous. And all of them are lies. Don't make any sense. But then why do people vote for the negative ads and all the lies? If they say, I don't like to vote for negative ads, then why you keep voting for them? Letlow was the front runner. Nobody's arguing with that. The Trump endorsement. Julia, it's funny how this race turned out, though, because no Trump endorsement, probably Miss Letlow never gets it. No, not probably, she doesn't get in the race. And then you got Blake Miguez, Julie Emerson was in the race. The lady out of Slidell St. Tammany was in the race. Bill Cassidy was in the race. John Fleming was in the race. And you had a different race. It was going to be totally different than it is now. Cassidy was going to get beat. I know people that were in the race that jumped out told me, Moon, I can't believe Cassidy's running. They saw all these polls, and I saw a lot of them too. I told y'all he was in the low 20s. If he got 24, 78 or whatever it was under 25%. I told y'all that from day one. What did I tell you about the polls? Don't pay no attention to them. The only thing I'll tell you about the polls that I ever agreed with was that Cassidy was never going to move outside the low 20s, and he really didn't. But it's a new race. People that look at a candidate, they ought to either get excited about him or get excited about beating one. All these little flim-flam endorsements, I just laugh at them now because that means nothing. If people will put the candidates, both of them side by side, then make the determination. Don't make the determination. And look at their record. Look what you're hearing out there to go find out if it's true or not. Instead of going vote for somebody based on this and that, endorsements and all that. I'm not into endorsements. I believe that endorsements were real big when the media wasn't what it is now, which is spread out. There's so many different ways to find out about candidates. I know this, I'm going to vote. And whatever happens, happens. What if I don't see any chance with the only thing on the ballot in a lot of places, not every place, like Nancy Landry said, you got to check and see on your ballot what's out there. What's going to draw people to go vote, and why would 400,000 people, it was 401 or 2,000 in the Republican primary, why would that number go up when most of the people that were voting were going against Cassidy? I've talked to people. I said, you going to the runoff? Well, I'm going out of town. I'm going on vacation. If I come out and vote, but Cassidy's gone. That's all I cared about. I've had many people tell me that. Well, Cassidy got beat, so I'm happy. And they're not planning on going to vote again. So, you could say if I'm a betting man, I'd bet. That's fine. But how many times have we seen elections turn in the second round? A bunch. Am I saying that's going to happen? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, folks, people are going to have to go vote, and I just don't believe that many people even are interested in going vote, and that's not ever a good thing. So listen, early voting starts June 13th. Today is June the 2nd, 11 days. That's going to be 7 days of voting early. Then you have a week off and then an election. Go vote. So if your candidate gets beat, so the heck what? Go vote. And I have no clue. If anybody knows, you can email me, moon@moongriffon.com. Anybody knows where the Cassidy voters are going to go? Are they going to vote at all? Are they going to vote against Trump? Are they going to vote for Trump? I don't know. Nobody knows those questions. That's why the election's interesting. It's who can get your vote out. That's it. That simple. All right, we got to take a break. Last break of the day. 844-766-6607 is the number. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. See. Have you recently cut a large check to Uncle Sam? How did that feel? If you're looking for a way to reduce your tax bills next year, especially if you're paying $100,000, $500,000, even more annually, listen closely. There are strategies used by the top 1% that can significantly reduce your tax burden. There are the same little-known provisions in the tax code that ultra-wealthy individuals and even members of Congress use. At Matthew James Tax Pros in Lafayette, they specialize in helping high-income earners like business owners, physicians, attorneys, contractors, and those in the oil and gas industry keep more of what they earn. If you're tired of writing 6- or 7-figure checks to the IRS, they'll show you strategies that could cut your taxes sometimes by half or even more. Call us today at 337-895-0TAX. That's 337-895-0829 or visit MatthewJamesTaxPros.com. Take control of your taxes. Start today to make next April a lot less painful. Every tax situation is unique, and tax savings may vary. This is Moon Griffon. You know I love a great Louisiana company like Hudco Roofing. Hudco Roofing and Exteriors is the official roofing company of the Moon Griffon Show. They're Louisiana's premier professional roofing contractor, specializing in residential roofing services. Remember, your roof protects everything, all your possessions, and most importantly, your family. And that's where Hudco Roofing comes in. These folks aren't just your average roofers. They're the #1 roofing company in the state. great, and that's why I endorse them. Whether you need repairs or a brand new roof, Hudco Roofing has you covered. Hudco is a certainteed select shingle master and takes every roof all the way down to the decking to make sure there's no hidden damages. Hudco Roofing is also a state-certified installer of the Fortified Roofing System. Anywhere in Louisiana, you can get a free roof inspection and quote from Hudco Roofing. I trust Hudco Roofing of Louisiana, and so can you. HudcoRoofing.com. That's HudcoRoofing.com. HudcoRoofing.com. It's Moon Griffon with my good friend John Blanchard, Matthew James Tax Wealth Management, 337-366-8366, MatthewJames.com, MatthewJames.com. W-2 employees making close to $500,000. You're making all this money, but you don't get to keep much of it. And so much withheld from their paychecks. Any tax relief for people that just work for somebody that are making a good living?
As long as they're making over $300,000 a year, we can help the way the programs work. But what someone can do is they can actually use the short-term rental loophole, buy a piece of real estate, do a cost segregation study. You're depreciating it in an advanced manner, not all in 1 year, but you can conduct some early depreciation. You can use bonus depreciation up to the loss limitations limit to offset your income. So if you're married, that's $512,000 that you can offset in 1 year, or if you're single, $256,000, half of it. Mm-hmm. Now, we have a short-term rental equipment program that we utilize. Someone can buy equipment, and we set up a single-member LLC. They buy equipment under that LLC, and we can use bonus depreciation for the full amount that year. So let's say if a married couple is bringing in $600,000 a year, as an example, we can buy $512,000 or a little bit more of that equipment that year, and we'll use bonus depreciation offset up to $512,000 of their income. And so therefore they're going to get a substantial refund back of money that was withheld, federal and state. So that's a big tax benefit. We have a lot of couples last year that we implemented this for that were making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000 a year, where they're getting back anywhere from $120,000 to almost $190,000 in federal and state income taxes that were withheld back as a refund.
John Blanchard, Matthew James Tax Wealth Management. Get in touch with him, 337-366-8366, MatthewJames.com, MatthewJames.com. You need to know John, folks. If you're starting to make more money, you need to know John so he can help you put money back in your pockets. What you keep, not what you make.
Proving that wisdom and volume can coexist, this is the Moon Griffon Show.
Mike's hot.
Hi, hello. Welcome back to the Moon Griffon Show. By the way, let me finish this, folks. Somebody just asked me that, says, you told me that you would never say Cassidy on the air again. And this is my response. This is what I just said to the man. He said, you told me you'll never mention Cassidy on the air again. My response was, I lied. I've lied before. Can't wait to get a response back on that one. 844-766-6607 is the number. I only bring him up. I didn't bring him up to bash him. I didn't bring him up to challenge him. I only brought it up as an example, talking within the Senate race. Since he's in the Senate race, he was in the Senate race. It was just showing some analogies on what's really taking place. I do have a question. It's only a question, folks, and that's not pointed. It's just a question. So, once again, and I said this in our debate. By the way, I'm still getting compliments on the debate, and I appreciate it. I really do. I know we did the best we could to keep it professional. I wish Cassidy would have came, too. Oop, I said him again. It's just because I'm curious about something, because every candidate ran Trump. But I'm curious about one thing. So, in Miss Julia Letlow, and by the way, I'm hoping she'll come on the program and visit with us again. I've asked. They said they would. I'm hoping maybe next week, maybe this week. So I just asked the question, and it was something I was just pondering and thinking out loud. I was not talking to myself this time. But I am curious about one little bitty thing. So we know the governor has endorsed Julia. We know the governor has raised money. They got a PAC. Governor's raised money for the PAC. I got all that. That's fine. He has a right to do that. I'll defend him. He has a right to do that. But the one thing I'm just curious about, and And I don't know why. Maybe y'all can email me and just email me moon@moongriffon.com and answer the question, because I am curious. We all know the governor's with Julia. And he's came out and he's really beat up on Fleming. But if all these ads that's being run with Trump bragging about Julia, I get it, bragging about a good all that stuff. Why aren't they running commercials with Governor Landry? Same commercials that Trump has with Governor Landry endorsing Julia Letlow. Same type commercial. I'm just because I thought, well, I was kind of curious that with Trump, I understand, I get it, but you got a governor. Governors are powerful, not just Landry. All governors are. So why aren't you running a commercial that has Governor Landry doing the same thing that Donald Trump does, getting on TV and bragging about Miss Letlow? I just wonder why that commercial hadn't been put out there yet. Anybody looking at this ever thought about that, or is that just my warped way of thinking? So I was just kind of curious. I thought, wow, Trump, that's a good commercial. I wonder why the governor, not the governor. I mean, why did the camp ask, hey, can you do a commercial with us on TV, and let the governor go to town on with Julia? I thought, does that help him? Does that help a lot? I mean, he's a sitting governor. I'm just kind of curious. I just thought that would be a good, he's doing a good job of helping raise money to beat up Fleming. I thought, why not put him up on the front stage and say, hey, I'm endorse Julia Letlow. But they got all these pictures of Trump. Now, if you think I'm saying the governor's not as strong as Trump, I understand that. But you would think I got the governor, here's another. How about this one? Liz Murrow has came out and endorsed, Attorney General has endorsed Congresswoman Letlow. Why not do a commercial with her and Jeff? I mean, that's the most powerful positions in this state. I'm trying to figure out why. I think Steve Scalise came out and endorsed Congresswoman Julia Letlow. Why isn't the governor and attorney general come out and just do commercials? I'm just saying. I don't know if it helped, hurt. I don't have any clue. It is a question I'm just putting out there because I'm curious to see what people think about it. By the way, we got all this. I hate talking about trans stuff, dealing with kids. With the parents ought to be run over for doing what they're doing to children. But anyway, so I found it unique. There was a big article, and I don't know if y'all remember, Billie Jean King was a tennis player, and she beat Bobby, whatever his name was. And so she is all about the trans athletes, but yet she won in a tennis thing where they were really promoting women's sports. Martina Navratilova says Billie Jean King's trans athlete stand doesn't quite square with her own words. So now they're fighting each other. King, one of the most important figures in the history of women's sports, tennis icon who helped build a modern women's game, spent decades fighting for equal opportunity, equal pay, respect for female athletes. But King was also publicly supported trans-identifying biological male athletes competing in girls' sports and women's sports. See, this is what I mean by the women not standing up for their own sport. Because she came along when women's sports wasn't a whole lot, and she made it a big deal, and she fought for the rights to do that. Now she's fighting for the trans athlete, which is a male to play in the girls' sports. Martina Navratilova done had enough of it. 2025, King called the broader transgender athlete debate in sports as a nightmare and said people should listen to transgender people's stories and make them feel included. The physicians frustrated Navratilova, another tennis legend. I remember her. She was unbelievable. Longtime advocate of gay rights in women's sports, because King has also publicly acknowledged the physical differences between men and women, which, by the way, there's a big difference. I keep saying this. I'm waiting for somebody to punch back. When will a woman become a man and start dominating a man's sport? If you want to convince me, oh, come on, boo, this is all natural, that's how you can convince me. When will a woman I'm not talking about 13, 12, and 11-year-old people because that's a totally different story to what we're talking about here. I honestly don't know because it doesn't square. Navratilova said the entire reason women's sports exists in the first place. Navratilova was responding to a clip of King discussing the obvious physical difference between men and women. In the clip, King said men are generally bigger and stronger and have different skeletal systems and bigger hearts, and women never claimed they were physically the same as men. That's the entire reason women's sports exist in the first place, because they're different than men. You can't let a man go dominate or a boy go dominate the women's sports, and that's what's happening in California. They had a dude that became a track legend this year because the dude is kicking the women's rear end in the track sports. And here's two people here. They fought for women's rights. They fought for gay rights. Now, they can't get it right because they won't even use the science. King stood up with 200 athletes supporting the Friends of the Court's brief against an Idaho law that barred trans-identifying male athletes from competing in women's sports. You know, back in that day, we used to laugh at people when they wanted to go. We used to laugh at people when they thought when they beat a girl, they were proud of themselves. King says there's no place in sport against discrimination of any kind. By the way, I agree with her. Men should not play in women's sports. Anyway, it's just gotten crazy, folks, for no reason at all. According to my headset, we got to get out of here. Folks, have a great day. Back in studio rest of the week. God bless. And Kate, appreciate you filling in. And Walker, appreciate it as usual. We're going to take a break. We'll see you again tomorrow.